Hello again and welcome to second round coverage here at the 29 Glass Blown Open. Day 1, the scoring conditions were perfect. Day 2, the wins were here. Getting us started today, your leader after round 1, Katrina Allen here on hole 1 gets a little sneaky through the tree. She would grab her first birdie here on hole 2, and contrary to round 1, it was smooth sailing early. Here she is with the nice sidearm approach on 5, and again here on 7, making her 3 under par early. Unfortunately, it would be putting woes, knocking her back to the rest of the pack, taking bogeys on both 8 and 9, and hole 11 is where the drama would start. Heisering out early out of bounds, it was hard to tell where. Eventually, a favorable spot would set her up with a chance at par and a huge momentum shift. Getting back on the horse on hole 12, she would be able to put herself to about 22 feet. And a perfect putt for the bird. That's a 2-stroke swinger on second place contender Jessica Weese. But hole 13 would be adventurous, going OB off the tee and leaking right on a sidearm approach. She is shooting 5. Fortunately, sneaking it in left side, she would stabilize until hole 16. With a little bit of tree love, she sticks the island and gains a combined 7 strokes on the card. She would finish up 18 with a 7-stroke lead on the field. Never out of the race though, long thrower Paige Pierce here getting her round started on the par 5 hole 1 with her song playing. The story for Paige early, though, would be battling to stay in bounds, visibly upset with her drive on hole 4. She would stick in that out of bounds. And again here on the par 5 hole 8. And mark it a third on the par 4 9. She would drop 3 strokes over 3 holes, but she would get it back on track here on the long hole 14. Look at that. Incoming, Haley. Missy, get out of the way. Here with an eagle opportunity just left, but that's easy work for the birdie 3. On the island hole, she told us in the preview vid she was laying up, but getting aggressive and sticking it. A double bogey here on 18 would halt progress, but Paige is still confident in a late round comeback.
I think she still got me by 2, but honestly, that's not that much considering I threw 6 OBs. So if I can keep it in bounds, I think I can make up a couple tomorrow and then be in a decent enough position for at least a chance on the final day.
While Paige was playing comeback on chase card, Weese would have her eyes on the prize all day. Unfortunately, it was just an up and down round. She couldn't quite get any momentum following birdies with bogeys. Here though on hole 5, she does card the birdie, followed by hole 6, the bogey. A great putt on 10, able to convert, but out of bounds on hole 11. You'll remember there was drama here. On 12, following up an argument on the tee, just leaks left with that sidearm and finds yet another out of bounds. A couple of good putts late would help the cause, but unfortunately she does finish at +3 on the windy round 2. Here is your leaderboard. Like I said earlier, Katrina Allen pacing the field. Jessica Weese, Paige Pierce, and Jennifer Allen make up that lead card. Rebecca Cox, Hannah Leatherman, Paige Pierce, and Sarah Holcomb make up that chase card. Again, thank you so much for tuning in, and for all of you at home, please check out your favorite media producers. Jomez Pro, Gatekeeper Media, and Dynamic Discs have round coverage all week long.
What did you just do? I'm stamping this misprint.
Yeah, but you triple stamp the double stamp.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Can too.
Cannot.
Can too.
Cannot.
Can too.
You can't triple stamp a double stamp. You can't triple stamp a double stamp. You can't, Eric.
Guys, enough!
You want to hear the most annoying sound in the world?
Hello, everyone, and good morning to day number 3 here at the 2019 Glass Blown Open. Terry Miller, the disc golf guy, alongside Robert McCall. Robert, I love the Paige wave. Now, what we have to really talk about is what are we going to see here in day number 3 at this National Tour event?
All right, so day 1, pretty calm. Nice
Beautiful.
Conditions, bit of an anomaly for Emporia. Day 2, standard conditions, although probably on the more harsh side, right?
Okay.
Lots of wind. At the end of the FPO round, I think they were probably around 20 miles an hour. So by the end of the afternoon round with the men, probably around 25 or 30 miles an hour. Crazy wind. Today, back to pretty calm outside. So this is going to be a little bit of a tale of, two types of weather. It looks like today is supposed to be more calm. And then Saturday, I think we're going to see those not quite gale force. That may be an exaggeration, I guess, but strong winds again. So for our competitors who are looking to make moves up the leaderboard, today is the day to set yourself up to do that, as we are making a cut to 40% at the end of this round.
All right, some would call it moving day. We call it a beautiful Friday morning here in Emporia. As Robert just mentioned, Wednesday, Friday, very similar weather conditions. Thursday, Saturday, similar to those 2 days. So we're going to see how things shake out. I think our women are just about ready on the tee of hole number 1. We'll see if either we need to check in with them as they're ready to throw, or if we're going to give you the whole preview. And it looks like the whole preview is on deck. Robert, 1,093 feet to start. What are they trying to do?
Yeah, 1093 right here. Par 5, all you got to do is land safe. As long as you're not behind a tree, par is a very achievable score for any of our competitors today. Drives really want to beat the ditch that the drone just flew over, and then on their second shot, get up over the crest of the hill where the 600-foot mark is. As long as it pushes past that, our competitors could set up for a long approach to the basket, which does have OB golf green to the left as well as cart path to the left, and then OB street to the right. 4 is going to be a great score here today. 5 will be totally acceptable, and those are both attainable as long as you can keep the disc in balance.
And Robert, right now it looks like the women are just a few moments away from teeing off.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Here we go.
Welcome to the Emporia Country Club. Round 3 action of the 2019 Dynamic Disc Glass Blown Open, presented by Latitude 64. The 9 o'clock tee times are lead women's card. Teeing off first from Pipestone, Minnesota, Katrina Allen.
Katrina, our overnight leader, with a 7-shot lead over Jessica Weese, 9 over Paige Pierce, and 11 over Jennifer Allen. Allen playing a drive out to the left and working it to the right nicely.
Katrina Allen, sponsored by Prodigy. Team off from Grass Valley, California, sponsored by Innova, Jessica Weese.
Weese going with her Scorpius here off the tee. Nice Anheuser out of the hand. And around the trees on the right side. A little bit over toward the sidewalk, but not a bad result.
From Plano, Texas, sponsored by Dynamic Discs, Paige Pierce.
You see from the feather flags that the wind is not totally down today. Our competitors do have a bit of headwind. This will be Ballista Pro for Paige Pierce. Paige Pierce has ultimately landed out of bounds as her disc did not come back out of the turn out of her hand.
Jennifer Allen.
Allen with a bit too much turn, finding the tree on the right side of the fairway.
We're going to move down the long fairway here on 1. We'll be back with you in just a moment.
When you order from Dynamic Discs, we do our best from start to finish. First, we receive your order from the website and print out the packing slip detailing the specific items you selected. Then, your order is pulled directly from the shelves, packed in a cardboard box to prevent bending during transit, and quickly on its way to you with free shipping. For every purchase online with Dynamic Discs, you'll receive rewards points so you can save on your next order. We'll work with you to make sure you get the exact disc you're looking for. For anything from Dynamic Discs, Latitude 64, or Westside Discs, head to dynamicdiscs.com.
Welcome back as we are here in the fairway of hole number 1. Jennifer Allen throwing a wide Anheuser that flattens out. She'll be in good position from there. Robert, clearly the story here on the FPO 1 card today with these 4 competitors is seeing how a few of them changed up their opening songs from yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, much more importantly than what's going on the course.
Yeah.
We got different vibes off the tee now.
We did. I don't recall if Katrina went with Metallica yesterday.
I don't remember.
But that is a great feature if they are allowed, and I think they are. In between rounds, they can actually change up their songs. And, I mean, this year, going to the 4 rounds, I mean, if that's not an advantage right there, you could potentially have 4 different walk-up songs.
Yeah.
You guys are thinking ahead here at DD.
Well, I'd say, we're just allowing competitors to strike intimidation and fear into the hearts of their fellow competitors. Just think about how scary that must be to hear a totally different song than you heard the day before. Crazy.
Talk about trying to work your competitors.
Yeah, that's right.
All right.
As if they care about that one single bit.
I don't know. I was getting into it. Here's Jessica Weese. Challenged the right side OB, which is a road.
She's near the top of that hill. That will be a long third if she intends to attack the basket. Katrina Allen will be next to throw from the fairway.
And we'll likely see that throughout the early goings of the round, maybe the entire round. Our players wiping off the dew here at the 9 o'clock hour.
Same disc for Katrina as she threw off the tee. I believe this is a D2. Skipping toward our cameraman.
Looks like you're right, Robert.
Nailed it.
All right. Well, we're going to wait for the other 2 competitors to get in bounds. And after we saw Paige's initial tee shot, we kind of both looked at one another and thought, really? Right off the tee, an unforced error by Pierce. We know that she's going to be aggressive, as she typically plays. She's not usually in a position where she's this many strokes down to anyone. And, of course, she's looking at 36 holes of golf. But right off the tee, that's just obviously not the momentum starter you want to have on the very first hole.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And this has left Pierce with really a difficult lie over here by the sidewalk. She's got some extremely thick bushes to her immediate left. So she's going to have to push out over the street yet again if she wants to get close to the basket to card her par 5, because this has to really travel to give her a decently close look for her 4th to approach the basket.
And a moment ago, we heard Paige say she's going to wait for the cars. And this is dangerous. Of course, she's just playing the hyzer. This has to find inbounds. Otherwise, she may be throwing from that exact same spot again. So let's hope Paige makes sure she gets it up high enough. You cannot miss to the right with this shot. And that's coming in. Yeah, exactly. Great shot by Pierce.
Expertly done from there, and that's just so risky, but that's really the only play that Pierce had. She just had to commit and execute, and that's exactly what she's done. I would say she's in a position where she could reach the green from there, but it's going to take a really nice shot from her to do so.
Looks like we're going to have another gorgeous day out here. I know we kind of opened talking about the weather. The weather is always that one additional factor that has to be discussed whenever you're playing. Of course, it comes into play at every single event. But here in Emporia, we're getting, like you mentioned earlier, just two completely different styles of golf. When you look at what we saw yesterday compared to what we're going to see today, 20 and 30 mile per hour gusts down to more like 5, 8, maybe a 10 mile an hour breeze from time to time. There's so many more things you can do out on this course, and I feel like today, which would favor Paige Pierce, the aggressive play can really benefit you. Where yesterday you were almost on the defense, you were backed off, you were just doing everything you could just to keep things in bounds.
Yeah, that's exactly right. When it's as windy as it was yesterday, it seems like there's not a whole lot you can do except for just play safe. I mean, yeah, I guess you could play aggressively, but I didn't see anyone yesterday play aggressively that even close to paid off. And in fact, we saw some huge numbers on some of our more difficult holes for the people who it seemed like did try to play a little bit more aggressively. This is Allen's 3rd. She's at the top of the hill. This is a nice straight shot from Allen, finishing to the left. Just hopping over the hill there, that means it'll be in circle 2.
Beautiful wide pan here of the fairway on hole number 1 as our competitors are moving down.
Weese from the fairway, I believe this is her Pharaoh from Infinite Discs. That is moving too far left. She needs that to get right quickly. And Weese is going to come to rest out of bounds. She'll be taking her shot from the front side of the golf green.
Yeah, that entire area, as we see the placards there and the wall that surrounds that is not treated as an island, so to speak. That entire area and beyond is out of bounds.
That's exactly right.
So although for a moment it looked like she may be inbounds because she wasn't on the short grass, all of that area is actually OB. So an early mistake here by Weese.
That's right. I believe this is D1 for Allen, hyzering in toward the green. Wow, beautifully done. That's inside the circle, probably 25 feet or so. Back with Paige Pierce and caddy Bruce Esquivel. Strategizing over her 4th. This is a crucial shot for the start of Pierce's round. If she can get up and down from here, she will be able to save par after being OB on her drive. Looks like she's chosen Lucid X Felon, one of the Eric Oakley Tour Series discs. She says, oh boy, that is tracking left. Nice bounce off the hill and a little roll down. She's going to be maybe right on circle's edge putting for her par. She says, all right, I'll take that.
She will, as she's moving down the fairway with her cup of coffee, as we typically see in an early morning round.
Like you said, a beautiful view here of hole 1 at Emporia Country Club, and we see the gallery already starting off strong here at the outset of round 3. Love to see so many spectators out there, and we are greatly looking forward to how big the gallery is going to get on Saturday out here at Emporia Country Club. If you are in the area or you are thinking about coming out, if you're playing in the A tier this week and you finish competition today, come on out on Saturday. We would love to see hundreds of people out here, possibly even into the thousands if we're able to, in the gallery, taking part in some of the best disc golf action that we've seen so far this year.
Looks like Weese is trying to get an exact spot there. The group's concurred. That's where she was last in bounds.
This is Weese's 5th. Nicely judged. It looked like that came out a little bit hot, but she played the downhill perfectly, so it just caught just the hill right in front of the basket. That's going to leave her 15 feet for her bogey 6. This is Allen's 4th. Perfectly positioned for par.
Robert, we often talk about how important the very first putt of the round is. It can somewhat set a tone. It can build confidence. It can certainly question your confidence. I think that's a great. This is a great opportunity for Paige to do just that. Jennifer Allen, on the other hand, she's going to have a tap in, walking away with the par, and a great putt here by Paige Pierce. Solid recovery after throwing her initial tee shot out of bounds.
Yeah, that's. I don't want to foreshadow anything, but what I'm going to say right now is if Paige Pierce's putting stroke is like that all day today, watch out field, because she can string together birdies like almost no one else out here. Great conversion for par, but here's Katrina for her birdie to extend her lead out of the gate.
As well, a great putting stroke there by Katrina. And just like that, she opens with the birdie here. I believe she's only the second FPO competitor to card a birdie, Emily Beach being the only other competitor in the FPO field today to card a birdie. So very impressive elite group of just 2 women with birdies. Ooh, and again, that confidence is what I was just speaking of. Jessica Weese, a little bit low. It's in, but she may be second-guessing as she moved on. Just a little bit of nerves. There's probably a little bit of carryover emotion from yesterday. We're going to move over to hole number 2, 557 feet, Robert.
So far today, this is playing as our 7th most difficult hole for the FPO field. Tee-pad over to the right side at a 4.2 scoring average, which is significantly lower than a lot of the scoring averages we saw yesterday, with I think only 2 holes playing under par most of the day. Competitors need to navigate to the right side of the big tree in the fairway. Once they've done so, they've got usually around a 300 or 250 foot approach up to this basket, either around the right side of the 2 guardian trees or the more open left side. There is OB on the right side as well as long, and the green kind of slopes away from the players once they crest the hill. So their second shot will certainly be a speed control shot if they don't opt to play, a big hyzer or a big forehand.
Well, and one thing we've talked about this week is not only have they combined holes 8 and 9, and then had to add a new hole 12. We're seeing both men's and women's tees out here. So if you're tuning in for the first time or kind of questioning how the country club has been playing out, having that versatility, seeing the two different sets of tees on some of the holes and how those are playing out, and even how they're doing statistically, I think all of that just show the dedication and the improvements and the need to have that self-analysis of the courses and what we're going to do to be able to give you the best possible competition out here. Hats off to Eric McCabe, Doug Bjorkus, and everyone over at Dynamic Disc, and of course along with the Country Club, who has been, I think, very open and willing to go ahead and accept some of these changes and to help disc golf grow and thrive here on their property.
Katrina with a low line drive down the middle, settling close to the 250 to the pin marker. And this is wide right for Pierce. She needs this to clear the big bushy tree. Oh, wow. Well, maybe that was intentional, and if so, she has crushed the typical landing zone for the FPO field. That should be a wide open Anheuser approach, or maybe even a straight approach.
Jen asking for it to hit the tree. It's tracking toward the out of bounds, and we see it skip OB by at least 25 feet. Jennifer Allen will get all of the distance there and then go to where it was last inbound. She'll be throwing 3 from there. At best, looking at a bogey probably.
She might be able to get up and down. It's really hard to tell, but that's certainly an unforced error from Allen. I'd say this is one of the maybe not easier drives on the course, but one that doesn't feel as uncomfortable when you're standing over it.
We'll be back in a moment. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, along with Robert McCall. We are watching our FPO competitors move down the fairway of hole number 2. We want to thank all of you who have contributed and super chatted us in the last few days. We are having a giveaway, and we're also going to be benefiting a charity. Nice. So thank you for everyone that's done so already. If you've been part of that in the last couple days, that will carry over. We'll be doing it throughout the entire weekend, and we're going to be working with Dynamic Disc. A recruit basket will be given away.
All right,
exactly. So if you want to be a better golfer and a better putter, recruit basket's the way to go. And along those lines, I want to thank all of our fresh new faces and viewers and watchers and listeners. I know I even have some friends back in Wisconsin that have never watched live disc golf before. Glad to have you. Thanks for joining us. And Jennifer Allen here is lining up her shot.
Jennifer playing for the right side of the fairway. That's just a bit too low. The hard part about that shot is if that's 3 feet higher, it probably crests the hill and skips down toward the basket. So just a tough spot for Allen. She'll likely have to settle for bogey. And just like Terry said, thank you so much for tuning in. If you are one of the over 1,000 people watching live disc golf this early in the morning, please like and share out the live stream. We'd love to get some more eyes on some of the top female competitors as they take on one of the challenging courses that we have here in Emporia, the Emporia Country Club. Share that out via whatever social media outlet that you'd like, or all of them. That would be even better. Weese playing the wide forehand. And she's weighted that perfectly. That's rolling just around the backside of the basket. That should be a relative tap-in birdie for Jessica Weese.
Katrina Allen lining up her second shot, and Katrina Allen's mom, I believe, also out on the board watching. I'm guessing we'll have other parents. I know Paige Pierce's parents love to tune in and watch. Jessica Weese's mom, Sherry, is a regular on our board. So thank you to all of our friends and family that are watching this action here on a Friday morning. Katrina's gets up and over the hill.
Wow.
And that got quite a slide to still put her in birdie range.
Yeah, that shot looked like it was going to be low all the way, but it just hovered over the top of that hill into circle one. That's a fantastic shot by Allen, who shows no signs of slowing down. We see after that monster drive, Paige Pierce has a blend Marshall in her hand. This is a straight approach for Pierce. Watching it intently. No need to. She's put it within 10 feet. Beautifully played.
And if anyone questions, well, does Paige have any advantage on some of these longer holes? This is one of those situations where the advantage is almost subtle, because it's not just so much about having that additional distance, which sounds all too obvious, but it's more about the position where she is. She could see the basket. She could throw the disc relatively flat, as opposed to having to get the nose up or play at all with the slope or the angle of the actual fairway. She's able to throw it directly at her target and have it in sight. And I think that's maybe a subtle advantage that you don't necessarily think about, but Paige certainly has that in her favor.
I do think that makes a huge difference. Being able to see the basket and the bottom of the basket, really where it connects to the ground, that changes your perspective and helps your depth perception as a player. We see Allen, little fist pump as she approaches the basket. That's going to be for bogey, but she's limited the damage from that out-of-bounds drive.
And I think it's all about just keeping it easy. Again, it may go without saying, you'd rather have that tap in, even though it's for bogey. You'd rather have that tap in than any form of stress. Right now, Allen's got back-to-back tap ins, low stress, low maintenance. Just keep things moving along. Anytime you can eliminate putting, I think that's one of the pro tips out there. Is if you ever want to get good at putting, just get closer to the basket.
Yeah, you have a much higher percentage when you're closer to the basket than when you're farther away. Pro tip. It's a GBO moment exclusive.
It definitely is, Robert. Here's Katrina for her birdie. And she is on. That's back-to-back birdies for Katrina to open. I know you said if Paige's putting stroke is on, she could be, of course, very deadly out here and very aggressive out here on the course. That may not matter. If Katrina also stays on, that large lead that she starts with may just continue to push her forward all the way into that fourth round and beyond.
You're exactly right. Katrina looks unflappable right now. Just very composed, very sharp, very few unforced errors so far. And, yeah, her score shows it.
Let's take a look at hole number 3, 489 feet.
Hole 3 playing as the third most difficult hole today at a 3.7 scoring average. I think a lot of our players are going to be taking this middle gap that's just to the right of where the drone just flew. 489 plays more like 410, 400, somewhere in there because of the steep downhill. This is very much an angle control shot for our competitors, as they need that to hold over to the right just slightly, almost in a similar shape to what we see on hole 10 later in the course. A very technical drive, an extremely difficult hole to reach in regulation, as we see 0% of the women's field has taken a birdie 2 today, but 43% carding pars. So easy, not easy enough to birdie, but if you get through one of those gaps, you can get within 150 feet of the basket, and that's a good distance to approach for most of our competitors.
Yeah, and I think as we do, I spoke a little earlier of the analysis, looking at the UDisc stats, talking that over with the tournament directors and the staff. I think this is a hole that could be looked at in terms of how it's played this week. I'm going to guess that there's been maybe literally only 1 or 2 birdies this entire week on this hole. Obviously, it's a very difficult hole, and I've seen from the men's side that it ranks as one of the more difficult holes as well. This is a hole that at 489, you're really just hoping to walk away with the 3. I know you said the play effectively is a little less because of the downward slope, but it just seems to be in that kind of gray zone for our competitors, for anyone to really be able to drive it and find themselves with a good look at birdie. I just don't think we're seeing that.
Yeah, I don't think so either, especially with that little bit of, we can see the feather flags right now, a little bit of headwind, but a predominant right to left wind. Anything that gets that right edge over is going to slam into the ground. If it doesn't get the right edge over, it's going to lift pretty far to the left. To control this all the way to the green, I think is not, it's not impossible, extremely difficult.
Well, I think we're going to catch up with our chase card. Glad to do so. Anytime we find ourselves in some form of backup, let's see if we can get a little bonus action. And I believe we have Hannah Leatherman getting ready to throw or attack the basket with a putt here, although I don't know how much attacking she's going to be able to do. It looks like she's got the low-hanging branches as she's stretched out to her left in a straddle stance.
Leatherman gives it a bid, but with those low branches, tough to get really aggressive. As we see Bjerkes walking over by the cart path, she's got a putt for par. Bjerkes converts in the center of the basket. Take a quick look at her score as she has carded pars on the first 3 holes. And in contrast to yesterday, I think, we were looking at a round of even or maybe just 1 under as being an incredible round in the wind yesterday. With conditions a little bit calmer, I think we are going to see some more players under par today. So some of those areas where par was gaining on the field might not be the case today.
51 the first round or something like that. And ended up getting 5th because some guy jumped me from the 3rd card. He shot like 40 something. But
and then after that, what do you go to SFR?
So are you guys coming?
No, not to SFR.
But to other ones? Mm-hmm. Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, so we'll do Utah for this. Santa Cruz.
Sounds like Katrina Allen talking with Jerry from Jomez Productions, discussing a little bit about what they're going to see in the upcoming weeks for their coverage, and that's a great segue, Katrina. Thank you. We'll talk a little bit about Jomez is covering MPO1, MPO2, and FPO1, all for post-production. Thank you to the guys over there doing just a tremendous job. Of course, Gatekeeper Media on FPO2, and then Dynamic Disc own Anthony and Danny covering MPO3, making this the single most covered disc golf event in history. So we appreciate Dynamic Disc for that and the PDGA. Here's Katrina Allen.
And that's just fine for Allen. A little too much turn, but past the first group of trees, wide open for her approach. Pierce is taking Lucidex Convict. Looks like she's planning on a slight forced turnover down the middle. And that's left out of Pierce's hand. She needs that to settle softly. Looks like it's done that. That should be fine. She'll have an approach on the back side of the Guardian tree on the left side of the basket.
Weese with her forceful forehand It's a really good angle. Looks like a great position, and she's going to be fine. She's going to be looking just to get up and down from there. Teammate Jen Allen gives her the low 5. That's a thing, right, Robert?
Mm-hmm. Allen asking for this disc to get left, and it's done that. She might have needed a little less left than that.
We'll be back in a moment.
The Dynamic Discs Golden Retriever is a fantastic tool for getting your discs back when they've strayed a little too far from dry ground. With a compact design, it fits easily in your bag, so it's always there when you need it. Using a Golden Retriever can speed up pace of play and save you from having to jump in yourself. We have a 100% guarantee you'll be satisfied. If you're not, return it in a usable condition for a full refund. For a little extra confidence next time you're throwing over water, make sure you're covered with a Golden Retriever.
I play disc golf because I've been playing since I was 4 years old. It started off just playing with my dad, and then I realized I had this natural ability. I love that you have to adapt every time you throw the disc. It's never the same. It keeps you on your toes, and I think it's something that challenges you as a human being. I chose the Lucid X Convict because it's such a versatile fairway driver, but in the Lucid X plastic, it's super dependable. It's like a beat-in Felon where you can just pop it nice and flat and it'll ride forward for a while before it hyzers out at the end. It doesn't move a lot on the fairway, but you are going to get that reliable, overstable finish. Just gone? You see it? Yeah, because it's
Just outside the flag.
I thought you did, so it had to be.
You got this corner? Where are you at? Up here?
Yeah.
That's you? So then you have to be out
It's
up there.
right there because I thought her stayed safe.
Because you went over this flag. We watched you go over one of these two flags, but you definitely had to have
Yeah. I thought she stayed.
Over here, it would have come back in.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, right there.
Oh, and it looks like Pierce's has come to rest out of bounds. Wow, that went quite a bit farther left than she had realized on the box. So she'll be approaching from the backside of this left guardian tree. This is her third shot.
Well, if we're looking at it from this vantage point, we see Pierce is almost pin high with the basket as she's off to the left side, and she just carried out of bounds by less than a meter. Oh, and Pierce hits the tree on the approach shot.
No. That's yet another unforced error. That's making this whole play even more difficult than it currently is. It's Weese's Sonic near the basket after her approach.
And looks like Jennifer Allen also finding herself OB. Now Jennifer more like 2 to 3 meters out of bounds here.
Mm-hmm.
She'll bring it back in where she had last crossed. Jennifer relying on that long jumper to get near the pin. And
that was probably a 100-foot jump putt. That's a really long approach, and if you've got that shot, it's pretty nice to have in a situation like this.
Yeah, and I know we discussed that at length yesterday. You know, some of that, short to mid-range approaches, and she's really solid inside that 100 feet. And Katrina right now has to be feeling very comfortable knowing I'm watching my closest competitors make unforced errors. It's early on. I've already got 2 birdies in my pocket, but it's early on, and I'm watching the other two of the others, I should say, throw out of bounds. I mean, they're just handing back strokes to her and extending her lead at this point, and she's just playing for a par here. Pierce with a lengthy putt. Now this is to save bogey 4.
Oh, and that's maybe 2 inches low from what Pierce needed. She'll ultimately settle for a double bogey 5 and give up 2 strokes to leader Katrina Allen. Weese converts for her par.
And I'm guessing that there's a little chuckle about her release point there. I talked about it yesterday. I've seen Jessica Weese with a number of different putting styles as Katrina just gets that one over the edge. In fact, I was at an event earlier this year where she flat out told me, she said, I practice nothing but hyzer putts all week long, and then I get to the first hole of the tournament and I throw Anheuser putts. I'm like, okay.
I'm not an expert on disc golf, but that doesn't seem like the most efficient practice.
It really doesn't, but we're going to move on to hole 4 at 423 feet.
Yeah, this is a long downhill hyzer for our competitors, playing as the 8th most difficult hole today, 3.41 scoring average. OB cart path to the left, OB golf fairway once you're past the ditch to the right. This is reachable for some of our competitors most days, but not all of our competitors every day. And it's basically today going to be entirely dependent on what the wind is doing. We see that we've seen 0 birdies so far today, but 65% of the field carding pars on the women's side. 22 of our 34 players so far today carding that par 3.
And as we take a quick look at the leaderboard, Katrina Allen has only extended her lead. She came in today with a 7-stroke, a very commanding lead, and she's increased that to 9 strokes. So after just 3 holes here today, Katrina seems to be doing very well. Jessica Weese sits at that +2. Paige Pierce falling a stroke behind from where she started today, that is, with her score relatives, as she sits at +5, Jennifer Allen. So there's not a lot of shifting. You see a lot of dashes next to the players' names. Those have been, that area has been effectively known as the Nico area or the Nico arrows. Right. And if there's any movement in terms of the position for the players, you'll see the arrow up or down from there. Right now, lots of dashes on top, people maintaining their positions, but Katrina is just... she's just plowing forward.
Yeah, just solid.
Okay.
Based on how the field has played so far.
5 and Jen 4.
Katrina's played just about as well as you can on the first 3 holes. Allen with D2 off the tee here. Allen's body language leads us to believe she's waiting for this to get back in bounds. It has not done so. It looked like she was trying to lean to the right.
Yeah. Like this right over that.
Okay, so very, very interesting. Sorry to interrupt you, Robert.
No,
but
that's good.
Wow, so something to take note of. Yesterday, of course, the discrepancy took place on hole 11, and here's an adjustment. Katrina Allen, after throwing out of bounds, immediately turns to the group and wants confirmation that they can somewhat all agree after just seeing the shot go OB as to where it went. And I hats off to all of them. What a really good way to try and address a little bit of the challenge maybe yesterday. Now, yesterday's angle was much more challenging, and I'm not sure that they could have been so concise even then, but hats off to all of them. Great move by Katrina Allen.
This is pushing far left from Allen, but that's fine. Jennifer Allen will be safe right around circle 2. Last on the tee is Paige Pierce. This is the sort of distance that Pierce loves throwing. This is a Ballista Pro. And this is a place where she can gain some strokes. That is tracking toward the basket. Oh, and just clears the out of bounds. Wow, I thought that was much farther left. She is going to be safe, but inside circle 2, putting directly at the OB for her look at birdie 2. Wow,
welcome.
I thought that was looking good.
It was, and for some reason it just didn't seem, like you said, to carry quite as far. I thought that was going to be right up there as well. Welcome back, everyone. Again, Terry Miller along with Robert McCall. And Robert, you think about adjustments, you think about sticky situations or maybe awkward or confrontational situations. That certainly unfolded yesterday. And as I mentioned, what a great way to address it right out of instantly. The gate here on this 4th hole for them to look at it. Katrina wanted a confirmation. She was talking to the rest of the group immediately. And I know I've said it already a couple times, but hats off. I feel like that is a perfect way to address it and hopefully just move forward.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Not much else to say about it, but just take care of it right then so that everyone's on the same page. You don't have to get down and contest or anything like that.
Yeah, I'll worry about it later. Now, again, they had that fortunate situation where it was very clear because it was right in front of them. I even think of the previous hole, hole 3, where it would have been really tough for them to kind of, they couldn't have said that right off the tee. In fact, we didn't even know that Pierce or Allen were OB off the tee on the previous hole. So it does have something to do with the vantage point and the perspective in which they were. But, yeah, very good to see.
I agree, 100%.
All right, let's get back to the action with our FPO lead card. So Katrina brings herself 1 meter off of the line from where she was last in bounds and approaches right next to the pin. So this is Katrina's first mistake of any kind, really, on the round. She's, of course, open with the 2 birdies, the par, and now we'll walk away with the bogey 4.
Weese settles that up by the basket nicely. Jennifer Allen will be next to putt from circle 2. Looks like she's opting for a straddle putt here. Yeah, and from that wide straddle stance, really difficult to generate the power needed to get that putter all the way up the hill to the basket.
Now Pierce has to be thinking, okay, this is a time where I can get a little momentum shift back in my favor. She knows that the leader, Katrina, is at best walking away with a bogey here.
That's right, but this can't be too aggressive a putting stroke. If she misses the basket, there is OB behind.
Yes. Great putt by Paige Pierce. She's going to walk away with a birdie here on hole 4. I've got to wonder, is she the only one?
So far today, yeah, I think that's going to be the only FPO competitor to card the birdie 2. Yeah, Paige Pierce from circle 2 in regulation. She's actually the only competitor, well, sorry, 2 competitors so far reached circle 2 in regulation off the tee. So she's going to collect the 2 strokes that she lost to Katrina Allen on the last hole. She's going to take those right back on hole 4 and take the box.
Let's take another look at it. For
behind.
Yes.
Nice nose up flight to limit the potential of that disc to go too far past the basket. Moving on to hole 5. This is 521 feet, pardon me, par 4. Our competitors are trying to play either out to the right side of the fairway to open the angle into the green, which has OB that narrows and pinches up toward the basket. They can also play to the left side if they intend to take a forehand or anhyzer out over the OB golf fairway. This today is playing as the 12th most difficult hole on the course. At a 4.08 scoring average, we've had 19% of the FPO field, 5 players today collecting their birdie 3s. I feel like earlier in the week there were, maybe on Wednesday, we had quite a few birdies. Let me check that on UDisc because I feel like this was playing a lot easier earlier in the week. Yes, eight birdies on Wednesday. So this is a spot where some of our FPO field will be able to attack, but you can find a lot of trouble if you get OB.
Well, right now we're seeing a great battle unfold. We're actually going to move over to some bonus action taking place. This is the chase card of FPO. Seems as if we have caught up with them, and they are also on hole number 5. This is Rebecca Cox on the tee. Certainly worth noting, a different pair of sunglasses than we saw from her yesterday. Rebecca Cox with her signature shades.
She's just styling it up.
That's what she does, and I got to say I love it.
Cox decidedly playing for the right side of the fairway, and that is picture-perfect position. That opens up her angle into the green nicely.
Hannah Leatherman trying to wheel that over to the left side. That looks to be in bounds.
Next on the tee, Paige Pierce.
And Bjerkes with a low release. Now she's come up short of the cart path,
which is just fine.
And she was just asking the rest of the group. She said, is this play as an island? As in, did she need to get over that cart path into the wider side of the fairway? And Robert, you're saying that's not the case.
No, that's just fine. That cart path actually doesn't extend all the way across the fairway. And it doesn't play as out of bounds either once it branches off the right side cart path.
So it's as if on this particular spot on the course, the cart path might as well be grass. Is that what you're saying?
On the left side, that's correct, yeah. Okay. Anything connected and a part of that right side cart path is out of bounds. That left side, just a little bit that sticks into the fairway is safe.
And for the first time, I believe on camera, we're seeing Sarah Hokum. Looks like she's trying to fight herself up the leaderboard. We'll have to check in and see where the scores are at and how the chase card is doing. Welcome back, everyone. Terry Miller along with Robert McCall. Robert, I know we rely heavily on UDisc as you're giving us all of the course and the hole details as we're breaking down how difficult the hole is, what the percentages are. Of course, that information is actually available to you too. That's not an exclusive to us.
It's not?
As much as I'd like it to be,
to
make
so
us sound
special.
smart here in the booth, but that is not exclusive to us. Go out to udisclive.com and you can click on any one of the holes that you wish. You can not only get the statistics, but you can also get your own T signs and maps of the course, so you know exactly where the OB lines are. They're amazing graphics. Shout out to everyone over at DD that made that happen. And again, you can follow along. And some of the statistics, as I can spit that one out early morning, we have things like fairway hits, parked, circle 1 regulation, circle 2 in regulation. Of course, the accounts for birdies and all of the other strokes that these players can take or hope not to take.
That's right.
Again, all available, udisclive.com.
Right, and just a quick clarification for those of you who are wondering about what this particular statistic means. So circle 1 and circle 2 in regulation. We've seen a lot of people say, like, oh, it's so crazy that those numbers are so low. And some people, I think, consider those as the circle 1 and circle 2 putting stats. And that's not what they are. Reaching a green in regulation, for us, we consider the green about 20 meters, so 66 or so feet. Reaching that in regulation means that if it's a par 3, that you've reached that circle 2 in one shot. So you are putting for birdie or close enough to putt for birdie. On a par 4, that means that you've reached that area in 2 shots. On a par 5, it means that you've reached it in 3. So that's what that statistic, circle 1 and circle 2 in regulation, means. We've seen UDisc really likes to use the circle 2 in regulation stat to kind of help determine par. As between 20 and 80% feels like a good span for them to say this is an accurate par for a hole, especially, you know, for the ladies. We've seen some really low or really high circle 2 in regulation stats, which allows them to see, do they want to lengthen a hole to make it more difficult and more appropriate for the ladies, or if they want to shorten it just a bit. So just a little explanation on what those stats mean, just so that you can be a little bit more informed when you look at them.
I think I learned something new myself here, Robert.
All right.
And then not only the Circle 1 in regulation and Circle 2, as you've just depicted, but then you have a Circle 1 punting percentage, which is how many you make inside that 10 meter. And then also Circle 2 is putting percentages, how many are made from that 34, essentially 10 to 20 meter area.
That's
That's what those percentages mean.
And a quick clarification, what you'll see on UDisc right now is Circle 1X, and what that means is it eliminates the distance from 0 to 11 feet, so drop-ins to, I guess it could, I don't know, inaccurately reflect what your putting percentage is. Say you make 14 short putts but miss 4 from 28 feet. Those are kind of the more important ones most of the time. And so Circle 1X only counts putts from 12 to approximately 33 feet, excluding drop-ins, so we get a little bit truer sense of how someone is putting on the day.
I think I need a nap after that, Robert.
Sorry.
I do appreciate the insight. My brain just can't keep up with you. As we watch Hannah Leatherman throw her approach shot, she is safely, it looks like she's inside Circle 2. And welcome back again, everyone. This is the chase card action. We're going to kind of catch up with them, see if we can possibly watch them complete the hole here on hole 2, and then we'll be able to turn around and follow our lead card as they're coming in. And speaking of the lead card, when we're looking at the scores, Katrina Allen has this first blemish on her scorecard. However, she still has an 8-stroke lead, so
it's pretty good.
Keeping things in perspective there, Paige Pierce came back on hole 4 and took the birdie, so now she has 2 birdies and the double bogey, so she sits at even on the day, not making up any ground to Katrina. In fact, she's still one behind Katrina just from this round alone. Not a lot of blue on the scorecard thus far as we move down on udisclive.com in terms of birdies, so we'll see if these women can attack the course. They've got great conditions out here today, and a lot of them know it's moving day. Well, I'd like to say I bet you they all know that it's moving day, but
everyone knows that.
One other clarification I'd like to make: they are moving to a cut to the top 40% tomorrow, and as of right now, we would be looking at roughly 16th place. And that is, as you're looking at it at UDisc, they actually provide a line for us. Lauren Butler, they show, who's in a tie for 16th with Zoe Andike. That's where the cut line is, and that is currently at the plus 18 mark. So anyone plus 18 or above is currently sitting in the top 40%. Right on the cusp of that is Haley King and Erica Stinchcomb. I'm going to take that one step further, Robert, and say it is very, very close at the cut line. Lauren Butler, Zoe Andike sitting at plus 18. That's right at the cut line. Plus 19 is Haley King from Wisconsin. Plus 20 is Erica Stinchcomb, Madison Walker, and Sarah Gilpin. Plus 21 is Tina Oakley. So literally 2 or 3 strokes are separating from the cut and not, so very, very close, and we'll watch that as that unfolds today.
It's Cox from outside Circle 1, just on the left side of the cage. Here's Hokum from inside the circle. And Hokum's, I believe that's her birdie bid, comes up just short. Hokum not having quite the competitive week that we're used to seeing from her, as she sits at 12 over par on the week. Carding some, a couple of, I guess, pretty difficult previous rounds for what she's used to.
And Paige Pierce, a smashing drive. The red post that we see, which is also a new addition, we'll talk about that in a moment, but the red post in the middle of the fairway, that's that 250 foot to the pin marker. So Paige Pierce at least 20 to 25 feet past that. So she should have a very easy approach from that left side. She'll have some options, let's put it that way.
That's right.
Jessica Weese, similar line.
A little bit short, but it's going to be a little behind a tree, but with such a proficient forehand that Weese has, she should be able to navigate the left side of the fairway. Allen not pleased with her release.
Not sure if that's going to fight back inbounds. It doesn't look like it did.
Last to tee after the bogey would be Katrina Allen.
And Katrina also in similar position to Jessica Weese. We'll be back in a moment.
I play disc golf because it started out as a means for me to be competitive, but it quickly turned into a community that I could be around and really enjoy being a family. Every place we go and every new stop we get to be at is an opportunity to meet more of your family, and that aspect keeps me playing and keeps me wanting to just do more with the sport. Choosing the Lucid X Felon was a no-brainer for me. It was a disc that I was able to lean on and rely on. It quickly became a staple in my bag. I was able to make it do a lot of different things. The Lucid X Felon is super overstable.
We're back with Jennifer Allen after her OB tee shot, and she's got a long distance to cover. However, that is one of the widest parts of the fairway with some of the biggest openings, so of all places to be out of bounds, it isn't quite as punishing as if she found herself further back on the left side. And while they walk on the previous hole, hole number 5, we're going to join 2018 world champion Paige Pierce here on the tee of 6.
Kind of opting for that straight flex shot up the middle, and that's climbed up the hill. She'll probably be inside circle 2 from there.
I know you mentioned earlier that we're not used to seeing Sarah Holcomb in the position that she is this many strokes back, and I'd have to agree with that. I'm not sure if there's any form of injury or any other mental or physical challenge that she's been having out here this week. But you normally see Sarah Holcomb in one of the top 4 positions, and we'll see if she can maybe turn things around and make a charge here today.
That's right. And Allen has found herself in a bit of a predicament as she's got a few gaps available to her, none of them very wide. Allen opting for the low hyzer. Wow.
Incredible shot by Allen.
If you haven't stood in that position, I'm just going to explain to you, it is very difficult to access the green from there. With a low ceiling and throwing uphill, it's just so easy to let that disc leak left out of bounds or push it too far to the right.
Well, and to follow that up, not only is she throwing uphill, there's still probably a little bit of dew on the ground. So if she lifts that, she finds all of those low-hanging branches. I can't say enough about how great of a shot that was by Allen. And this needs to skip back in bounds, and it just barely does. Mm-hmm. Jessica Weese will be still looking at a birdie putt. Seems to be about 22, maybe 25 feet.
Yeah, not a bad result whatsoever.
Certainly a bit of a nervous moment there. She played the skip from the out-of-bounds area, and it just barely squeaked back inbounds.
Paige consulting with caddy about, well, his name isn't caddy, his name is Bruce, but her caddy, about which way to attack this fairway. Looks like she's opted for a lucid felon on a forehand here. Asks for it to skip in, but instead it's just going to skip to 5 feet. That's also good.
Now I'm going to go on record and say that if Pierce can make this comeback as she sits 10 behind and she's had the same caddy on the bag, I think he's going to need a tattoo that says Pierce's caddy at the end of this weekend.
And she's going to get a tattoo that says Bruce, which is what we all call him. Well, that's his name, but we also just extend the ooh of Oos out quite a bit.
Okay, it'd be weird if his name wasn't Bruce.
Yeah, that's fair.
Jen Allen struggling a little bit here on the 5th hole. And the jumper puts her right next to the basket. That should be an easy tap in, but Jen finding that early OB very punishing here on hole number 5.
Weese for birdie. And her attempt is low right. That's a missed opportunity for Weese. Allen for birdie after a fantastic approach. Oh, and that's off the band. Allen quickly taps in, almost slides it out the left side there. Katrina frustrated, but will still be taking par here.
We've seen Katrina's previous 2 putts being on holes 1 and 2, exactly where she wanted them. So to see her just a bit off her mark, somewhat surprising. But again, she's in a good position that she can simply tap in and still walk away with the par.
Paige Pierce with the drop-in birdie. She picks up another on Katrina.
They have a short walk over to hole number 6, 343 feet.
Hole 6 is playing as the 8th most difficult today, a 3.52 scoring average. So far, we've got no females carding the birdie 2, but I don't believe that our chase card has gotten into the stats just yet, so we'll wait to see on that. We do have nearly half of our field carding par 3s with 52% only taking bogey. No 5 so far on the hole today for the FPO field. Certainly playing as one of the easier holes to get not a huge number on. Not a lot of OB for our ladies to be concerned about. Just a little bit of OB behind the basket and then the bunker on the right side.
All right, well, we'll see if some of those statistics can change. Again, it looks like our FPO 2 card may just about be clearing out of hole number 6, and then we'll see what our lead card can do. Thank you guys for joining us here this morning. It is a Friday morning in Emporia. We're at the Emporia Country Club taking in all of the action, day number 3, round number 3, here at the 2019 Glass Blown Open presented by Dynamic Disc. This is the second stop on the 2019 PDGA National Tour. We couldn't be happier to be here. We're talking about nearly 1,600 competitors, largest event in history here for disc golf, and appropriately, the single most covered event we've ever had in disc golf history. Great to be part of the entire crew and the action taking place here in Emporia.
Paige Pierce on the tee. This is Bio Defender on a big hyzer. That's pushing left of the basket. She's asking for it to sit. That's done well and settled inside the circle. Weese is next on the tee. Weese turns her forehand over and burns it into the ground. I believe that's beaten the OB on the left side, but not by much. Allen looks like she's got D2 for this uphill hyzer. She plays more of a hyzer flip. It's come up a little bit short. Allen playing the straight shot. I'm kind of surprised to see that. It seems like she has the power to take the big hyzer.
Yeah, she knows she can get out over that OB on the right side. I'm surprised to see that as well. We'll be back in a moment.
This is the United States Amateur Match Play Championships. It's a bracket-style 1-versus-1 disc golf tournament. The championships start with your local bracket with a sweet players pack and some prizes, and it ends here in Emporia, Kansas with some absolutely insane prizes. If you're looking to take down the championships, head to discgolfmatchplay.com. You can find your local bracket or run one. It's super easy, I promise.
Coming back, and it looks like maybe Weese was somewhat distracted, or maybe just gaining her composure here for a moment. She's throwing a forehand that hits a tree, and that is a mistake I would not expect to see from Jessica Weese.
Katrina Allen from range. Just settling it near the basket. Jennifer Allen choosing to lay up as well. Looks like she had quite a low ceiling being underneath that tree.
Jessica from a knee just outside the circle, actually maybe 8 or 10 feet outside the circle.
And that was left all the way. She'll be dropping in for bogey here shortly. Paige Pierce to take the lone birdie, pardon me. And 1 inch short, just those dreaded half and halves.
So unfortunately for our lead card competitors, hole 6 does not give up any birdies here. In fact, Weese looking at the bogey. And Katrina Allen simply maintaining. Going to take a look at hole number 7, a par 4 at 515 feet.
This is playing as the 4th easiest hole on the course today at a 3.73 scoring average. Playing under par, one of the few holes on the course that's doing so. The ladies' tee is just to the right of the drone right now. They're looking to throw into this fairway, avoid the tree on the right side of the green area of the disc golf fairway. If they can beat that ditch, they've got a decent approach up to the basket through some gaps on the right side or the more open left inside portion of the fairway. If they happen to punch all the way through to the far left, they'll have either a forehand approach or a big turnover. But this is certainly a scoring opportunity for the FPO field, as we see 43% of the FPO field today carding birdie threes here today. That's 13 competitors. 40% carding par fours, and then only 17% finishing with bogeys. No doubles or worse so far today.
Well, and I think what's important to note here is we play hole number 7, and then all too obviously we move on to 8 and 9. But what's really important about 8 and 9 is they usually rate as the 2 of the most difficult holes on the course. So when you talk about having an opportunity, having a hole that maybe plays to their favor, and going out and capturing that birdie, you'd love to just take that birdie, just slide it in the pocket, because I can tell you 8 and 9 are brutal. So if you can pick one up here, it would hopefully maybe give you a little bit of that extra push as you move into 2 of the most challenging holes, which happen to play back-to-back.
That's exactly right. We see Paige Pierce consulting with Brian Lamoureux, one of my favorite guys from the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Tournament director, course designer, all-around good dude. Shout out Brian Lamoureux.
We see Jessica Weese checking the wind. It looks like she has just a little bit of frustration, and understandable after that bogey on the previous hole. Not something we would expect to see from her. Also, I believe we have a moment ago we saw Jennifer Allen along with her daughter and caddy, Michaela, who travels with her to quite a few events. And Michaela herself also plays. I was at the Phoenix Ladies Open back in November in Arizona last year, and I believe Michaela took down her first tournament win, so congratulations.
Awesome. Yeah, congratulations.
Back in November, in case I didn't mention it earlier. And a little love and shout out. I got a message this morning just being informed that there was a disc golfer that unfortunately is no longer with us out in the Northwest. So thoughts to everyone out there in the Northwest. Of course, we always hate hearing the terrible news of a disc golfer that's not with us, but some love and support out in that direction. So we're going to move over. We've got Paige lining up her shot. Paige, one of the few players that really has to make sure she waits for competitors to be out of her way. Because if there's anyone that could possibly reach the next group on any given shot, Paige Pierce is certainly that person.
Paige Pierce getting a nice flight out of this defender, just catching that tree, but that's actually not a bad spot to land. Even if she had penetrated through to the left side, she would have a forehand approach. As it stands right now, she's got a really straight, probably Marshall approach. Nice and straight putter. Katrina with a low line drive just over the ditch. Great positioning. Allen's drive landing within 20 feet of both of our other competitors.
Jessica Weese ripping a backhand shot.
This is a beautiful group of drives.
Well, they are going to move down the fairway on here on hole number 7. I have some special memories of hole number 7. I may have briefly discussed them in the last day or two, but hole 7 was the finishing hole for a number of the junior divisions. Not quite all of them, but for a number of the junior divisions that were here back in July of 2018. Of course, we were here for the Junior World Championships, which for the first time was split apart from the Amateur World Championships. Emporia, rightfully so, earning a bid for 3 consecutive years to host the Junior Worlds. And it was at this very hole, now maybe from a different tee, but at this very hole, I saw a number of junior players crowned world champion. It was awesome.
Not much better.
So, for all of you out there, we invite you to join us or to stick with us for not only the remainder of this round, but also for the MPO round. That's going to start today at 3 p.m. Central for MPO lead card. We're expecting some fireworks and some great showing there. All 4 competitors were not on that lead card yesterday. They all worked themselves into that position, including our GBO reigning champion in Eagle McMahon. Right now, 3-stroke lead over Paul Macbeth.
Shooting an incredible 8 under par on a day that only 9 competitors finished under par at all. He was 4 clear of the field on his round yesterday. Incredible stuff by Eagle McMahon.
Unofficially rated 1,000,007.
That is correct. Decimal, you might have a comma in the wrong place there. Katrina going back to that forehand approach that she's been leaning on. Sharp is the word that comes to mind again. Just dialed in on that forehand. Great distance control. She's within 15 feet.
We hear Jessica and Paige get a confirmation as to which one they believe is out, and Jessica is going to be next to throw. Paige has her just by a step or two.
And that settles around the same distance as Kat's from the basket. Pierce asking for that Marshall to get up. As that's faded out a little bit left. Still inside the circle, but probably 25 feet. And Weese's drive, pardon me,
Allen's.
Jennifer Allen's, I'm sorry.
One of the Allens. You have 50% Allens to choose from.
Yeah. Hey, so when Allen threw a shot here, anyway, Jennifer Allen's drive lands just right of the tree. She's going to have a bit of a straddle stance that she'll have to take.
And what we're hearing also is that the group sounds to be in really good spirits. We hear a lot of laughing, a little bit of giggling, everyone having a really good time with things. I don't know how you can't be here on a Friday morning. We're at the Emporia Country Club taking in this day number 3 and round 3 action at the Glass Blown Open. This is Pierce for her birdie.
And Pierce says nice hyzer putt, as we know that she generally putts flat to a slight anhyzer. That's a missed opportunity for Pierce to keep pace with both Katrina Allen and Jessica Weese, possibly Jennifer Allen after this putt. Jennifer is unable to convert.
And the low Anheuser putt by Weese in for birdie. I believe that's going to push her to 2 over par. Katrina Allen, once it's her turn, will likely move to 7 under. And Pierce with a high release, but still finds the bottom of the basket ultimately. And Katrina Allen in for the birdie. Sounds like we're getting a little bit of information in our ear about a possible backup on 8, but Robert, things look to be moving in Katrina Allen's favor right now, and maintain. I think she can certainly take the position of just maintaining right now. She doesn't need to be aggressive. She doesn't need to take any low percentage shots. If she just continues to par, she's going to be in really, really good position.
And that's exactly right, as she currently holds an 8-throw lead over her nearest competitor in Jessica Weese, both of them collecting birdies just now. That's going to open her lead over Paige Pierce to 10 throws. Now we are approaching either the hardest or second hardest hole on the course, depending on who's played it so far in hole 8, and followed up by usually, if it's playing as the hardest, usually the second hardest hole on the course, hole 9. Two extremely difficult holes. I think they're going to be scoring separators, and so if Katrina Allen can stay clean through those 2 holes, she could almost coast her way to a nice lead at the end of round 3.
Well, right now it seems as if Paige Pierce isn't quite as dialed in as she needs to be. We've seen her make a few mistakes, and we've seen Jennifer Allen not take advantage in a few situations where she's been. Jessica Weese, who started the day in second, remains in second, but she is at full 9 strokes behind Katrina Allen. And we, of course, hats off to Katrina Allen. She has just played so solid over these first few days. She started out a little bit slow, and that's kind of crazy to think about. She has a 9-stroke lead, and she admittedly said, I didn't have the greatest start here at the tournament, and she kind of turned it on in the back half of round number 1. She played really well in the wind yesterday, shooting that 1 under par and besting the field by a number of strokes just in yesterday's round alone. So she just continues to build that lead, and right now things are looking really good for Katrina Allen.
Absolutely, and we're, like we said, headed over to hole 8. We see the feather flags are moving in a little bit of a headwind, a little bit of a right to left wind. Much less wind across the board than yesterday. So I don't think we'll see near the huge numbers that we saw yesterday, but we're looking at 69% of the FPO field playing over par on this hole so far today, with 7 players taking the dreaded triple bogey or worse score so far. 31% of the field, 8 players carding the par 5.
And it sounds as if we may even have a special guest that's going to join us for a few moments. Paige Pierce in studio. Paige, first of all, we're on a backup. Why don't you call some shots? You have a whole series of this called Nice Line.
Right now.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, well, this is the hardest hole in the course, so let's see how Paige does. She throws her judge on this one. She just likes to break it down and throw it really high, floaty, and just make it come down straight, but she kind of put a little too much hyzer on it. Safe, though.
Yeah, it looks like she's going to be in bounds. We were just talking about how no birdies,
I heard you.
No birdies have been given up here.
But you're about to change it, huh?
Yeah, and when you, like, I'm right here right now because we're on a backup, and there's a bathroom in here. So in the bathrooms in Emporia, you guys are on the intercom.
Yeah, we found that out.
Is that weird?
It's kind of weird, but it's kind of motivating when I hear you guys saying that. I don't look as good as I should be, so here comes the back 9. I'm going to be bringing it to you guys.
Let's get it.
All right. Well, Paige Pierce stopping in. Give us a little insight. Only found here. That's a Smashbox exclusive. Maybe a GBO moment as well. As we're watching Sarah Hokum throw, and that's going to challenge that right side OB, and she's out of bounds.
Yeah, tough break there for Hokum.
She will get all of the distance. Yep. She carried quite a ways, and it was at the very end of her flight. But Sarah Hokum, OB. Hannah Leatherman, previous co-champion here of the event, along with Paige Pierce.
And a misfire for Leatherman. She's going to go OB to the right.
All right. Well, Robert, Paige has now scurried off. As she said, we are actually, so right now, when they're on the tee just a few moments ago, if you could back yourself up about 100 feet, you would find yourself probably in our studio.
Right.
And in fact, as you're looking at the shot right now, you can see that is the clubhouse, and we are inside there in the basement area, I'll say, of that clubhouse. So Paige Pierce said, we're at the turn. about to head out to hole 9. She had to use the restroom. And I'll admit, I've gotten a number of those messages this week saying, I was in the restroom and I can hear you, and I'm not sure if that's weird or not. So if you don't think it's weird, well, okay, I guess
it might be weird.
So that's what's going on here. Of course, thank you to Paige Pierce. Such a fun-loving soul out there on the course. And Paige, you want to talk about all of the work she's doing this week. Of course, here competing, she's also, along with teammate Zoe Andike, calling the shots on the FPO 1 card along over with our friends at Jomez. So like yourself, doing quite a bit of work out here this week, and Paige fully engaging everyone. And I do want to give another quick shout out to the new video series that she's been released, that she has released in the last few weeks. It's called Nice Line. And what she does is, when she's playing with her fellow competitors, from time to time she will line up and she will watch a difficult or a challenging throw that a fellow competitor has executed. She will take that shot and that footage, and then she'll have them break it down and discuss exactly what they were thinking and what they were trying to accomplish within that shot and that situation. And so Paige just kind of helps bring that to light. She says she's a student of the game. She loves watching her fellow competitors execute high-level shots, and she's now turned it into an entire series. And I believe there's 4 episodes out right now, and I know she's going to be working on them as the year goes on. So Paige Pierce, just that multimedia mogul she's turning into, her and Alyssa Van Lannen and the rest of the Dynamic Disc crew. It seems like it's all very fitting.
That's very cool. Yeah. And when Paige approached us with that idea, I just thought, man, like, that's something that we haven't seen before. You know, we've got a lot of round coverage, post-produced coverage, but to get to hear directly from the players and to hear their insight about what they're throwing and what they were thinking, and from some of our top female competitors, that's something that we really just haven't had a whole lot lately.
Yeah, and no better person to help break down and go ahead and expose just how good of a shot someone has thrown than Paige Pierce. And we'd love to see more coming from that series. Looks like we're back with Sarah Hokum. We've seen a couple of shots come through, but now we're back with Sarah Hokum. She's going to be throwing her second shot. Well, ultimately, this will be her third stroke, but her second throw of the hole after going OB.
Oh, that's an unlucky break for Hokum, as that was on a forehand skip angle, headed back toward the fairway and kind of skipped forward and eventually rolled out to the left side. She is going to be out of bounds yet again. That's a really unlucky break for Hokum, truly. And on a hole like this, where it's playing as the most difficult hole on the course, when something like that happens and it just trickles out of bounds by inches, come on, man. It's just like the hits just keep on coming, you know?
And that was a question I think I posed a few weeks ago. It may have been on one of my media platforms. I was thinking, would you rather be OB by a long distance, or would you rather be OB just by a few inches?
Right.
And I feel like the responses that came in were almost exactly 50-50, right down the middle. Mm-hmm. Some people said, you know, it hurts more when you just barely creep out of bounds, and other people said, well, no, if I went way out of bounds, you know, it definitely was just a momentary lapse, and I want to erase that and move on, and I'd rather have it be way out of bounds. So either way, OB stroke, unfortunately, for Sarah Hokum. At least, again, she'll get the distance, though.
That's right. Rebecca Cox out over the cart path here.
Skip off.
Wow, she gets all of the flight of that disc and skips back in bounds safely. Well played by Cox. She will be looking at the gap in the trees for her third shot there, which is really all you can ask for here.
Well, thank you for all of the concern, whether it be my hair or the color of my face. I had a great night last night. We were able to visit a local restaurant after 2 rounds of the full live coverage. We were able to visit a local Mexican restaurant. Also got to partake in a little bit of what we saw for some of the nightly activities. Bourbon Cowboy, I know, has been very active in terms of supporting the Glass Blown Open. There was some bull riding that took place. I didn't see too many of our disc golfers up there.
If any of my players were up there, I would have advised against it.
But there was also some karaoke taking place, and I got a chance to talk to a lot of different people that were giving me their story, their GBO experience. Some people were talking about what it looks like for their tournament scene back home or their club scene. I love all those stories and interactions, and it was certainly a really good, fun night out. It was on the low-key side for me, but I was able to interact with a lot of people, and just so honored and blessed to have the opportunities that we do here with SmashBoxxTV and everything that's going on with the Glass Blown Open.
Yeah, that's right. We had plans to go out to Bourbon Cowboy at some point, but then we just had people start coming over to the house, some of them unannounced. And
wink, wink.
So then we just stayed at the house. No, it was really fun. We had, AJ Risley, as we've said, is staying with us. The Oakleys are staying with Bobby right next door, so they hung out for a little while. We had Madison Walker show up at the house. Then later on, Zach Melton and Calvin Heimberg showed up. And then eventually just some of our friends from Emporia. Jacob, who works at Dynamic Discs, is one of our graphic designers, and his girlfriend showed up. And so we were a little bit anchored to the house, weren't able to partake in the bourbon activities, but we had a great time. Just kind of hung out, watched basketball, laughed at some videos. It was a good day.
Party at McCall's.
Yeah, but seriously, nobody else come over, please.
I feel like that's the name of a movie. Okay, so now it looks like we're going to listen in or at least take a look at where they're going to confirm Bjerkes may have went out of bounds. We see Rebecca Cox kind of shrug her shoulders. Also, Gatekeeper Media, who I know I've mentioned a number of times throughout the week, they're out there getting the FPO 2 post-production. Thank you to those guys.
You see Paige Bjerkes lining up what I believe is her fourth shot after going out of bounds. That is tracking right and needing to finish left. She's going to be out of bounds up by the trees in the middle of the fairway.
Paige getting the red OB indicator. We'd like to again thank everyone for tuning in and being part of the live broadcast experience. It's been a great previous 2 days, rounds 1 and rounds 2, MPO and FPO side. We've been seeing some great numbers. I know we're pushing somewhere in the neighborhood of 2,000 viewers here for the women's coverage. We're so glad that you could join us, and if you're interested in winning a recruit basket, that's something we're going to be giving away next week. You can do so simply by giving any amount during a super chat. We're also going to be splitting that money up with a charity. And we're going to announce and share all of those details once we've made that donation. We want the world to know that we want to support disc golf and beyond as we're here in Emporia. Get a view of the Emporia Country Club, who's been such a gracious host this week.
First to tee will be Katrina Allen as she holds a 9-shot lead over Jessica Weese. This is a D2 on Heiser tracking toward the center of the fairway. D1 on Heiser, pardon me. That is trickled out of bounds by the short tee. Pardon me, not the short tee, the old tee.
Katrina shakes her head as she knew that just had a little too much left to it.
Weese with the low hyzer, trying to take the wind out of the equation.
And I really love that play by Jessica Weese. And something I was
100%.
just thinking a moment ago, if I could ask Katrina real time, I'd like to know, did she just not hang that out wide enough to the right, or did she throw it too high?
Right.
I'd be curious to know, how she feels like she missed her line there. But Jessica with a great response. Here's Paige Pierce. Let's hope that this gets down.
Huge distance on Pierce's drive. She needs this to spike in.
Oh, no. And the same result. She's in front of the tee, so a little bit more distance, but Paige Pierce also out of bounds. I really would love to see the adjustment out to the right side more.
It's just so intimidating to hang this so far right, because if it settles down on the right side, you take it probably 150 feet back from where you threw it.
So ultimately, all 4 women in the same area, but here's a word from Dynamic Discs.
We wanted something that really appealed to disc golfers as well, but that wasn't too heavy. So this beer here is going to be light, clean, easy drinking, a little hop characteristic to it, something you can keep drinking all day long.
This collaboration, though, is a brand new one where we actually worked with Dynamic Discs, which was a lot of fun, and Walnut River Brewing, who's some of our oldest friends in the brewing industry. So yeah, it's just a brand new experience, brand new beer. It's our first beer ever to be in cans, which is really exciting. But yeah, it's been a cool experience just to kind of show how everybody can work together.
Passion is more than fiery emotion. It feeds the spark to start your day. It fuels your obsessions. It inspires your dreams. Passion challenges your fears, and it repeatedly bathes you in sweat until you are transformed into a new, better you. Disc golf isn't just your passion, it's ours too.
So you just walked into a disc golf store. Look at all that sweet plastic. So many new discs to try. What if you don't like this new disc? Rest easy. When shopping at any of our buyback retailers, if you are not completely satisfied with a disc from Dynamic Discs, Latitude 64, or Westside Discs, bring it back within 14 days with proof of purchase, and we will replace it with whatever disc you want in the store, no matter the brand. It is that simple. Now get out there and play some disc golf. Check out dynamicdisc.com/retail to find a buyback retail partner near you.
Welcome back. We are here on hole number 8. And Katrina Allen may have the advantage of actually being able to throw from the tee area. She's able to use a little bit of the concrete found there. And that disc almost kills our cameraman.
Which would have been tragic because she covered a lot of ground with that shot.
She did. Chad there on the catch cam. Thank you for whipping around and, more importantly, staying out of the way of Katrina's disc.
That's right. I guess it also would have been tragic because it would have hurt our cameraman. But more importantly, it would have robbed Katrina of the distance that she should have earned right there.
Exactly. Weese with her powerful forehand from the center of the fairway, or left center side, I should say. She pushes to the right, and she's just kind of waiting for some indicator. She cannot see where that's landed, and she does not know, in fact, that it's inbounds until someone puts up the green flag for her. From that angle, the second shots, and the results of the second shots, I should say, are blind to the women. Robert, what I'd really like to know is when we get to the backup on 9, if there's any way we could get another exclusive interview from the lead card or a little drop-in from the lead card. Maybe one of the women could hustle back the 1,000 feet.
All they have to do, all they have to do is run back through this most difficult hole on the course. around a quarter mile or so to get here. Not a big deal.
And Jennifer's going to find herself in bounce, maybe as it pushes that left side.
It's a little extra roll, but a green flag.
She does get the green flag as she's flirting with that water's edge over there on that left side. But back-to-back great shots. Jessica Weese and Jennifer Allen find the fairway off the tee and then find the fairway again on their second shot. They are looking to change the statistics here on hole number 8, playing as now the first most difficult hole the course. Before they have completed this hole, and we've seen 34 of our women move through here, 6.56 is the average here on this hole.
It's just playing extremely difficult, and it has everything to do with a downhill tee shot that seems like you can bite off a lot of distance, but right-hand, backhand throwers get that skip toward the OB almost all the time. It's touchy, but you have to get enough distance to give yourself a look at getting a birdie.
And
Paige Pierce just playing a hyzer down toward the water. That's just fine. She'll have probably a low ceiling approach on the left side of the Guardian trees. Maybe a forehand approach or a turnover up for her opportunity at saving a par 5.
Well, thank you guys for joining us. We appreciate all the love and the support. Thank you also, of course, to Dynamic Disc and the PDGA for this second stop on the 2019 PDGA National Tour. We're in April, and there's already been a lot of golf played.
That's right.
We've seen so many of our competitors travel not only to the opening National Tour event in Las Vegas, of course. We've seen 3 stops on the Disc Golf Pro Tour, which will then move over to San Francisco in just a matter of a couple of weeks. This next weekend, I know there are a number of A-tiers scattered throughout the country that we're going to see our players ultimately spread into. Big event taking place in Colorado. Also, the Challenge at Goat Hill, which A.J. Risley's father, Alan Risley, who's an avid watcher, he's going to be the tournament director of that event. And then Utah Open. We know that's also a big event that many of our players will find themselves at. So a lot of action here in the early goings of 2019. And dare I say, we're not even mid-season. There's so much golf to enjoy.
That's exactly right. Allen's approach has come out dreadfully low and left. That may have even scooted out of bounds. It looked like she obviously was trying to play the right side. Obviously trying to play the right side of the tree in the middle of the fairway, but it slips out early. And the fairway runs away toward the water, so that looks like it will be out of bounds for Allen. Nice approach for Weese. Paige Pierce's approach to the basket, turning over her blend Marshall, settling in nicely. That should afford her a par.
I'm also being notified from UDisc Josh, who's over in the UK, that Goat Hill will be on UDisc Live next weekend, saying that they are continuing our 11 straight weekend stretch. And we know the guys over at UDisc, they do not rest. They are constantly improving and making additions to the app. I believe recently on the app and online, they have added some of the tours clinics and other events that our touring players are part of. I know they're adding things like Greg Barsby's events, hot cocoa challenges, those types of events being added constantly to the schedule as well. And probably the luck of the draw doubles, I'm guessing.
At some point that may be true, yeah. I don't think it is right this second, but...
Well, get on it, UDisc.
Well, get on it, DD players. Let's put it that way. As we see a bit of a misfire from Allen as she throws a standstill to a bit outside the circle. We've got a bit of an OB discussion. very brief OB discussion, though, is Katrina's disc just ending up out of bounds. Allen leaning, hoping that her putter will find the basket. Ultimately, it looks like she'll settle for bogey.
A little bit of a tentative approach there by Jen Allen. She's emulating a fish swimming upstream. I'm not sure what she was doing there. She likes salmon? I don't know where we're going with that one.
Weese is in with this such a difficult and long hole as hole 8. I'm having a hard time keeping up with who's throwing what here. I know this is Pierce for par because she had the one OB shot and then the highs are up.
Well, I think we could go out to UDisc Live and click on the throw tracker feature.
Let's check that out.
We will, and Katrina Allen will be putting for double bogey.
For double. Oh, because her drive was out of bounds. That's great. I had forgotten about that one. Weese in for birdie 4. That looks to be the only birdie 4 on the day, so big shout out to Jessica Weese. We'll move on over to hole number 9. This is currently playing as the most difficult hole on the course. 5.5 scoring average. Only a quarter of the field carding par so far today. Players must navigate the fairway in front of them and land safely past the signs and short of the cart path. After that, they have a long anhyzer or forehand approach up to this basket that's guarded by OB on the right side as well as the long side of the basket. If they happen to go long past the basket, kind of towards 10's tee, there's a bit of OB back there as well, but that usually doesn't come into play too often here.
Well, I know we just saw the lone birdie on hole number 8 for the day. As of right now, no birdies here have been relinquished on hole number 9, so we'll see if that changes by the end of our lead card. Katrina Allen, even after giving up 3 strokes to Jessica, is still 6 ahead of Jessica. And rarely can we say that really in any division. Right. Do you say, yeah, the leader gave up 3 to second place, but is still ahead by 6.
That's
so
right.
It speaks volumes of where Katrina has put herself overall in the tournament as she continues to charge forward. Paige Pierce still sits in that 3rd place position as she's at +3 overall, and Rebecca Cox also remaining strong at her +8. Now, Rebecca Cox and Jennifer Allen came into this round tied, and Jennifer has fallen 1 back of her at the moment. So Paige Bjerkes, Vanessa Van Dyken, Sarah Holcomb, Hannah Leatherman, and Lisa Fakis all rounding out those top 10 spots or so. We mentioned earlier there's a cut to the top 40%, which is 16 women here in the field. And as I slide down and take a look at that, Edie Hurd finds herself on the good side of that at the moment, as does Zoe Andyke and Missy Gannon. They're all right around that line. On just the other side of that, Haley King, Lauren Butler, Madison Walker, and Sarah Gilpin. So right now, +19 is the cut. Haley King's at 20. Lauren Butler is at 21, along with Walker and Gilpin. So that 19, 20, and 21, every single one of those strokes, so crucial right now. And that will determine if you move into the final round, and also if you're going to walk home with go home with a little bit of money.
A little bit of cash.
Got a little change in my pocket.
A little quiche.
Okay, so hole number 9, we're going to check in with some of the action. It looks like the chase card is actually already thrown their tee shot. So for all backups that we could have here, it seems like this one is relatively short. Of course,
right.
We'll bring you some bonus action and coverage from our chase card, but we're glad you could join us. Beautiful day here in Emporia. Light winds, temperatures in the mid to high 60s at the moment. We're only supposed to see a high of 73 again today, and that's only 1 degree off of what we saw yesterday. So very blessed with the conditions during our third round. Robert, everyone knows that you're part of what, well, many would consider at least the second or third best podcasts. No, first best podcast?
We're probably in the top 10 of disc golf podcasts.
Okay, we know that you are.
It's possible.
And that podcast being Disc Golf Answer Man. Where and when can they find that?
Yeah, we're usually live Tuesday afternoons at 2 p.m. Central. Myself, Bobby Brown, also known as Cool Daddy Slick Breeze, with his fancy new soundboard with some sound effects. I won't say they're my favorite, but a lot of people like them just because they know they're not my favorite. And then, obviously, the person who knows the most about disc golf, who's played the most disc golf on the show, world champion in 2010, Eric McCabe. We take fan-submitted questions through a Google form as well as through SpeakPipe, which is kind of like a voicemail, and just answer those each week. Chat about life and disc golf in general, sometimes about tacos, sometimes about Star Wars. We got a lot of things going on, but if you haven't had a chance to listen to us, discgolfanswerman.com, or you can check us out live on YouTube every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Central.
Great to hear. Now we're getting a little shot here of what we're seeing back at the tee. That's one of our cameraman, Rick. We also see Jerry from Jomez Productions. I'm not sure if that's Brian off to the left-hand side. There's a quick shot of another one of our guys,
Hey, man.
Gary to
Hey,
the
man.
O.
Oh, also, hey, man.
Just huge shout-out to these guys. Robert, we have the, I'll say, fortunate disposition of, well, the position is just really sitting here. Sure, there's plenty of talking, maybe sometimes too much, but plenty of talking. These guys are out there walking the country club course 2 rounds per day, and the added stress and pressure of knowing your camera could be live at any given moment. So
that's right.
A huge shout out, Chad, Rick, and Gary. Those guys putting in some serious work out there this weekend. Again, you and I get to sit here. Johnny V's in another room over yonder. He's just pressing buttons. Our real heroes are those guys out there with the cameras.
Yeah, I can tell you Johnny is definitely not the hero just pushing. I'm just kidding.
I think he's wearing basketball shorts and a t-shirt. I mean, he's living life right now.
This guy. But yes, huge shout to our cameramen on their feet for probably around 8 hours a day.
Yeah, at least. And speaking of that 8 hours, I'll be interested to see how today plays out. Hole 9, hole 8 certainly factor into this. But round 1, round 2, almost down to the minute, we see 4-hour rounds on the FPO side. Yesterday, on the MPO side, it was a very different story. It was more like 3 hours and 20 minutes or 3 hours and 30 minutes. Their round was 4 hours when they opened the tournament on Wednesday, and they somehow trimmed 30 minutes off of that yesterday. So as this weekend wears on and tomorrow we move to a cut line, which is 40% of the field out there, I have to think the pace of play will be picked up just a little bit.
I think so as well, yeah. As we narrow this field, fewer backups, tighter groupings of the players who are playing better on the weekend. Great looking approach there from Hannah Leatherman.
So as we were just mentioning, chase card action. I'm going to go ahead and check in on the scores from what we're seeing on the chase card. Not necessarily just their total score, but also how it feels like they're playing. And I can do that. Thanks to the powers of UDisc. Bjorkis struggled mightily on hole number 8. She did walk away with a double bogey 7. We saw her throw OB. But she has a bogey and a double. The rest relatively clean. Vanessa Van Dyken has a double and a bogey with a single birdie. Sarah Hokum has three over par strokes, a double, and then 2 bogeys. Here's Jessica Allen throwing it and finding a great position. Correction, Jessica Weese, sorry about that. Finding a great position in the fairway on 9.
One of the only times that the 50% Allen is not going to work out for you.
Here's Paige Pierce lining up what might be the most difficult tee shot we find on the course.
This is left side needing to turn for Pierce. She's going to fall short and ultimately be forced to go to the drop zone, which is an extremely difficult up and down for her par 4. Slow swing for Jennifer Allen as it fights through a couple of trees, but not enough to make it out to the fairway. Allen's normal rhythm was really thrown off on that throw. You could tell she was trying to slow things down to control her speed, but it seemed like she was unable to accelerate with that slower start. Katrina's shot looking like the best of the bunch. Perfectly played.
Nice shot, Katrina. We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back. We're just seeing the tail end of Paige Pierce throw her second shot, or what I guess ultimately will be her third. Any OB shots here off the tee move directly to the drop zone regardless of where they went OB.
Jennifer Allen cutting the corner just a bit, but that is safe and will afford her an open straight approach to the basket.
Thank you so much for that. See you, Carl.
And watching our competitors move up the fairway, and Jennifer Allen had just thrown her shot. We're going to have Katrina throw, and I guess in comparison, what I was going to say is that Jennifer Allen challenged that right side. Katrina here, for instance, along with Jessica, really do not need to challenge that right side at all. You have plenty of room.
That's right.
If you're just trying to kind of break this apart into individual segments here, straight shot, and a putt is all you really need.
That's exactly right. Once you're out here in this fairway, it probably still plays 350 to the basket, uphill and to a blind landing zone. For most of our competitors, it's not worth it to get really aggressive on this. Weese is getting aggressive, and this is tracking beautifully. Wow, looks like she's landed inside circle 1, or at least close to the edge for her look at birdie 3. That would be the only birdie in the female field today if she's able to pull it off. A third of the field taking par today.
So hole number 9 is one of the holes that features both a men's and a women's tee, or a short and a long tee. However, the difference isn't exactly substantial.
It's a few feet.
50 feet?
Yeah, something like that. It's not a lot.
Yeah, so what we're seeing for these tee shots, you can then start thinking about what we're going to also see on the MPO side a little bit later today. We've seen both divisions, both sets of competitors really struggle with that initial tee shot. And then we see just how aggressive do players want to get after that. And that has burned a number of our players. Right now, Paige Pierce looking to just put it right next to the basket. I feel like she needs to just limit the damage here.
That's right. She's done exactly that. She'll collect her bogey 5. probably lose a stroke to Katrina Allen and likely Weese, maybe 2 to Weese, but we've seen much bigger numbers than 5 here today. And Allen's approach leaks out early left. That will be inside the circle, but 25 feet or so with some OB right behind the basket.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Please go out and like, share, subscribe, do all of those things that we ask you to do on YouTube and beyond. We'd love to see more viewers here taking in the live action as Katrina's approaching about 10 to 12 feet short of the pin, a little bit nose up, making sure she doesn't find the OB that is deep of the pin. And the long jumper by Weese, just a bit short, but looks like to be a tap in. And as we mentioned earlier, that's going to pick up strokes on the field with how difficult this hole is playing.
That's exactly right. We thought that Weese, even with that spectacular effort up and around the corner, she still landed in circle 2. Allen's putting woes continue as she just can't seem to find the bottom of the basket.
Katrina, after playing this, she was just so dialed in, so just perfectly dissecting this hole, just taking a little bit at a time, and unfortunately not able to convert. So she's going to likely relinquish another stroke to Jessica Weese, making things just a little bit tighter there up at the top.
If I remember correctly, this is the hole yesterday where we saw Allen miss a short putt from a similar range, kind of threw her for a hole or two. Maybe she missed 1 on 8 and 1 on 9. She's going to surrender a stroke to Weese and not be able to pick up any on Pierce, who's going to remain 8 shots back of the lead. Moving on to hole 10 and into the back 9, a little bit easier holes than the difficulties of 8 and 9. 391 feet, cresting the hill and moving slightly down to the right. This pin is surrounded by OB on the right side and golf fairway on the left. This is playing as the 7th most difficult hole in the course today. 7% of our field so far taking birdie. That is only 2 players today. Those honors go to Vanessa Van Dyken, who made it inside circle 1 in regulation, and young player Edie Hurd out of Arkansas, converting on a circle 2 putt from 38 feet. So kudos to those ladies. We've seen nearly half of the field outside of those two take par, with an exactly equal amount taking bogey or worse. We've talked about this before. This is such a technical drive. Having to crest the hill and hold that angle down the hill, it's so difficult, especially with any wind.
Well, and as it gets over the hill, it's going to want to leak out to the left side, and if you really aren't paying attention, you could find it go far left and find the OB on that left side. Not something you're probably thinking about too much off the tee, but if you were to throw it too low, it could possibly catch edge and even cut roll to that left side, or if you just get the nose up a little bit too much, it could carry all the way over there. Quickly, I want to touch in or go back and look at that cut line. You just mentioned Edie Hurd with only 1 of 2 birdies that we've seen here on hole number 10 today. Edie, a very young player, I believe just 16 or 17 years old?
I think 15 or 16 is right. Yep.
All right. Well, it's great to see her. She currently finds herself inside the cut line. She's at 19 over par. She is a position ahead of Zoe Andyke and Haley King. So she's fighting for She's fighting for that fourth and final round, hopefully tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning, I'll tell you, we'll come in at 8 a.m. Robert, somehow we got to do things even a little bit earlier, but I'm going to be glad to be here with you, buddy.
You know what? If I had to choose anyone to be here with, I'd probably choose my wife, but you'd be second to that.
That's a fair statement. In fact, I would choose hanging out with your wife over you as well.
Yeah, well, most people would, if we're being honest. But also big shout out to Edie Hurd, who came out to Emporia last year and won the Junior World Championship in her division. So
yes, that's where I met Edie, and more so than her, of course, her amazing skills and talents that she's continuing to hone in at such a young age. Just so personable, so friendly, a great bubbly personality. And as I reflect back on so many of the events that I travel to, I may not always be lead card MPO at every single big tournament,
right?
But man, I got to tell you, I love being at the Amateur World Championships, the Junior World Championships, the Amateur World Doubles a few weeks ago, the Collegiate Nationals. Those are the events that I really enjoy being at, so I can see our next generation of disc golfers. And
this is a beautiful shape. I believe this is Weese's Valkyrie that she's throwing down the hill. And that just didn't quite have enough height to stay up long enough to reach the basket, but it is safe.
Robert, I want you to think ahead for a moment about Saturday morning routines and what that meant to you as a kid. But here's Paige Pierce.
Pierce has too much turn on this disc. This needs to hit a tree and do exactly what it has.
And that likely saved her a stroke from going out of bounds. Here's Katrina Allen lining up a little bit of a flex shot. What are her options there? I know she's got a green disc. Is that
I'm pretty sure her green discs are D1s for the most part. That can't be a D1. That has to be something else. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but she's thrown it beautifully.
Great drive here by Katrina Allen. Let's see if that can get her back on pace. And almost equaling the other Allen shot. We see
right.
Jennifer right next door to her. We'll be back in a moment.
The Dynamic Disc Recruit is a tournament quality basket at a practice level price. The Recruit is the ultimate basket for backyard practice or temporary courses. Get ready for tournaments. Get better. Get the Recruit.
Welcome back, everyone. Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, along with Robert McCall. Robert, we're at the turn. We're moving into the back half of the course. We're now down to potentially 27 holes of golf left. A long week, of course, 72 total holes for everyone that's making the cut. Katrina Allen has lost a little bit of her momentum in the last few holes. We'll see what she can do on her birdie attempt as Paige Pierce is trying to ring that up from long range. Things are looking good, however, for Katrina Allen as she still sits with a 5-stroke lead over Jessica Weese, and I that could only increase at this point on hole number 10. Increase or remain the same, I should say.
That's right, yeah. Allen, until the last couple of holes, has looked extremely solid. We see a kind of a short missed putt, uncharacteristic for Allen this week, as she cards a bogey 5 on hole 9, but carrying a 5-shot lead, you can allow yourself a missed putt or two because you've already done a lot of work to get where you are.
So we'll find both the Allens, Jennifer and Katrina, in similar positions. They're both about pin high.
Jennifer Allen still struggling to find her touch on the green, although that looked a little bit more like an intentional layup with the OB about 20 or 25 feet behind the basket. Here's Katrina. Capitalizes the only birdie on the card. And that's a confident putting stroke from Katrina, as she'll pick one up on the entirety of her card.
Well, and Katrina, only the third woman in the entire field to card the birdie here on hole 10. A bit high and left for Weese on that Anheuser putt. But it drops in. Here's Pierce.
Quickly watching back on Allen's putt, we see a sigh of relief as she converts on that birdie, gaining a little bit of confidence back. We move over to hole 11, 399 feet. This is kind of a valley shape if you're standing on the tee. So when the winds are up, we can see the winds really mess with the players' discs quite a bit as they cross over here. Players are looking to play more of a straight shot as much as they can and then finish left toward the basket. At 399 feet, this is quite a rip for any of our competitors, and it's coming in as the 9th most difficult hole on the course. We'd be remiss to not mention that there was a bit of drama here yesterday, a bit of contention as Katrina Allen's drive found its way out of bounds, and then we had a little bit of a heated discussion between Weese, Jennifer Allen, Katrina Allen, and then Rebecca Cox as to where the spot was. Not all of those competitors were heated, mind you, but ultimately Katrina Allen received a spot that was inside the circle, and she converted for her circle 3 with that OB stroke. But it kind of created some tension for the rest of the round, and so far spirits are good. Everyone's doing well today, but this was the site of where that started yesterday.
Yeah, and it seems as if they came out this morning with a little bit of a reset, which is great to see. Of course, these women are playing with one another on each other's cards almost every single weekend. Of course, there's the spirit of the game, and there's also the competitive spirit among them. As we're talking about some of the best women's disc golfers we've ever seen. And today, like I said, I felt like there was a little reset on the tee of hole number 1, and so far, so good.
This is D2 for Allen. Similar shape to yesterday, although this road on the cart path and has settled out of bounds. I will say this, it's hard to tell if that touched in bounds or not.
No, you got a 4. I got a 4? On the one with 4. Hey, get a 4!
Not much discussion as to where that disc went out of bounds, but I
feel like there should have been.
and I think we might once we get up to the basket.
Jessica plays it wider than what we saw from Katrina. That's a great drive. I mean, that's exactly what you're looking to do. That is a narrow part of the fairway, but she did find the center of it, and she'll be able to easily get up and down and walk away with a par there.
This looks like Ballista Pro for Pierce. Very wide and swinging back left. Wow, Pierce has gone long and almost crosses the OB path long of the basket. Wow, huge distance there from Pierce on a pure hyzer. Jennifer Allen with a lower straight shape.
Anti-skip pans out for her. Let's take another look at Katrina Allen's drive. I feel like there's going to be another conversation about it. tee. There's no doubt that it ended OB. The question is, does it touch the basket side
So cart
after
path
the roll?
skip. See, it's so hard to tell from here, from our perspective. That Assor could have just ridden the cart path the entire way. That one, in my opinion, I think is closer than yesterday. As we got to review that tee shot, it looks like that one was OB for a longer portion of the flight. This one skipped on the cart path and got quite a long roll. Really tough from our position to tell if it touched in bounds or not.
Well, here's what I would like to also then clarify about yesterday. There was a PDGA marshal or official right there and available on the card, but they were not consulted.
I had the angle from the bottom side.
It never touched over here.
I had it skipping up the sidewalk about here.
So right back by this. Yeah, that's
Right
good.
about where things
Okay, so this is very significant. That is Todd Lyon from the PDGA. He is a PDGA marshal here at the event. He was on site yesterday and present, but he was not consulted whatsoever. The group could have asked for an official, but they didn't. And yesterday they kind of discussed it among themselves as Katrina is right next to the pin. She's going to take the bogey 4. So I also just wanted to make that clarification. A certified official was available but not consulted yesterday, and they are only to be they will not necessarily interject unless asked, just as they were here. So a different story from yesterday. I feel like there would have been another heated discussion had Todd not been consulted as early as he was here today. So looks like it should be done and over with for now.
That's right, and good on Katrina Allen. Ooh, that's a good look from Jessica Weese. Good on Katrina Allen for listening to the ruling, not being argumentative whatsoever. He had a great view, and so she just said thank you and moved on up there. Long bid for Jennifer Allen will settle within 10 feet of the basket. That leaves only Paige Pierce looking at birdie.
And this brings up a couple of other conversations we're going to see as Paige gets into position. It's great to have the certified officials, or the PDGA marshals in this case, but it's not practical to have them at every single hole in every single situation.
That's
no matter
right.
how many you have, you can't even guarantee that they're always going to be in the right position.
And Pierce's putt is just low and off of the left side of the basket from her perspective. She's going to take par and pick one up on Katrina, but it could have easily been 2. I do think there's something to be said, not only for having a marshal, but also for him being up by the hole to get to watch from 30 feet away instead of 400 feet away.
I agree completely.
And I don't think we're going to see much of a mood change on this card. It was a really quick discussion. The ruling was accepted well. I think spirits are going to remain high. We'll move on to hole 12, 314 feet uphill. I believe this place is the second shortest hole for the female division. We've got a thick bush in the middle of the fairway that players need to navigate to the right side of if they're playing the flex line, or the left side if they've got a huge forehand. We might see that from Jessica Weese. 314 feet, but plays quite a bit uphill, playing probably closer effectively to 350 or 360 feet. This is playing, though, as our third easiest hole of the day, coming in at a 3.17 scoring average.
All right.
Words are hard sometimes.
Sometimes they can be. You've been doing more than your fair share here this weekend, providing not only the live coverage for all of the rounds thus far, the 4 rounds previously that we've done live, but also your 2 rounds of post-production. So thank you very much, Robert.
Sure.
Another point that I want to touch on real quickly is the discussion about replay. And I'll say the same thing I said yesterday about it. We have 2 cameras on this card, and we, even with a slow motion replay, we're not able to 100% certainly tell as to exactly where that disc was or wasn't. And I know there's a lot of people that have clamored for or are kind of begging for, suggesting that, it's just imperative that we have replay. that goes ahead, again, I think that flies in the face of that and says, no, we still don't have enough cameras, and they're certainly not on enough holes. And some people have said, well, that would give a competitive advantage to a given card to have, video evidence or replay.
Or disadvantage.
Or disadvantage. And I think that's the main point.
Right.
In some cases where someone was maybe just about to get a call in their favor, as based on by the group, if there was a replay, the call may not be in their favor. So I in the media side, yourself in the media side, we kind of hear that chatter often. And so I think this is one of those great case studies where you could really break down this hole for the last 2 days and say, all right, well, let's start there for a typical situation and see how that unfolds. So very interesting, kind of a learning moment for all of us here.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And for those who are asking, if we could help, like you said, with that footage or watching it back in slow motion, here's the thing that you may not understand is the camera angle that our catch cameraman is taking is best to capture the full flight of the disc, not to rule on OBs. If we wanted to rule on OBs, he would line up exactly with a cart path with maybe the basket on the left side, and then it would be easy to tell. We would have, well, maybe not easy, but a much easier time telling where a disc did or didn't cross in bounds. So we're trying to give you the best entertainment shot that we can. We will not be using that to make any OB rulings.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Like a slower than Max? Because Maxes are really fast. I want to say they're like a 12. Oh, yeah. Oh, so yeah, like a fire. So there's a fire from 7 now. Sorry. I didn't know that. More like OOB. I'm not. What was it that someone sent me? SMH? I was like, okay. 24, you don't get all of them wrong. Words or whatever.
All right, hearing a little bit of the banter and chatter taking place here on the tee of hole number 12. Glad to be back to the action. Jessica Weese with the honors.
Weese played the forehand out around the bush yesterday and ultimately ended out of bounds on the golf fairway, so it looked like she took a different tactic this time, trying to play that inside flex line. She turned that too much. We don't know if that is inbounds or out just yet. Paige Pierce is eyeing up this flex line with her Eric Oakley Lucid X Felon.
You hear Paige say, "Turn it more." I think
it sounded just like her. I thought she was back in the studio for a moment.
Exactly.
She does filter through the left side of the bush in the middle of the fairway, and she'll have about 66 feet left to the basket. Allen's shot is just too low, asking for it to not cut roll, which it hasn't.
Katrina's reach back finds her underneath that tree. You really would love to get to the front side to at least have a look at the basket. However, we'll be back in a few moments after a word from Dynamic Disc and UDisc. Coming back here with Jessica Weese throwing her standstill approach shot. Jennifer Allen will have a similar position to throw from. That tree might be just a little bit more in her line of sight. This is a long jump putt by Allen. That's going to bring her 15, maybe 20 feet short of the pin.
While doing the Jomez coverage during the first day, Zach Melton landed under that tree. So AJ and I have affectionately been calling it the Melton tree because he landed under it, but also it kind of looks like the top of his head.
Yeah, I was only with the assumption that it looks like the top of his head.
That's right.
Whether he's aced this hole or taken a 9 on it, I would still refer to that as the Melton
That's
tree.
right. Paige Pierce with a long birdie attempt. She'll settle inside the circle.
So Katrina will find herself underneath the tree. She's got a very difficult stand, kind of cross body position. And that was a relatively short shot, but just for those at home, that is a very difficult shot to execute. Not only do you have to maintain your balance, but as you're bringing your weight across your body, you're trying to throw an accurate shot. That was well executed by Katrina.
Allen's putt is just under the band and in. And a relatively mundane hole of disc golf for us today, which is, I think, probably good for a lot of our competitors, as par seems to be a good score out here. I had almost spoken too soon, as Paige Pierce's Paige Pierce's putt is just high, but still in the basket. And Katrina's is low, trying to make me sound incorrect, but everyone's in for par, and we'll move on to hole 13. 394 feet, playing uphill, probably a little bit more effectively 400 or 410 feet. Middle of the pack for our ladies today at the 10th most difficult hole. 2/3 of the field, though, taking their par 3 here. If they do want to push to get the birdie on this hole, they're going to have to flirt with the cart path that's OB on the right side of the fairway. If they want to play super safe, there is tall grass OB on the left side of the fairway as well. This is not a gimme drive, but if you are playing for a 3, our competitors could throw something pretty slow, mid-range fairway driver, 280, 300 feet, pitch up, take their 3, and get out of town. And it seems like that's what a lot of our competitors have done.
Yeah, as it has relinquished 0 birdies here today. We'll see if our lead card can make that adjustment or make that change, but par is good.
Yeah.
Grab your par, like you said, get out of town with it. Let's take a quick look at the scores with Katrina Allen still with that 5-stroke advantage out here today. Paige Pierce right behind her, Rebecca Cox, who is coming in from that chase card. She seems to be making a little bit of a move here. And as we're looking at those top 10 competitors, I have to go ahead and check. We're going to have to come up with some kind of a name for the cut line.
Check our cut line.
Check the cut line.
Camera.
We've been talking a lot about Edie Hurd and where she's been positioned, as she's been right on the cusp of that cut line. Madison Walker making a move. She was 2 or 3 strokes off of the cut line. Right now she finds herself inside of it. She sits at plus 20, so she is in a tie for that position, but she has birdied 2 out of her last 4 holes. So the whether it's self-induced pressure or maybe even relaxation, Madison Walker's finding herself getting it together a little bit after she's already taken 2 double bogeys out here today. So she's got 2 birdies in the last 4 holes.
Leatherman with a decent approach, but that's finished a bit more left than she was intending.
Haley King remains just at that cut line as well. She's had quite a roller coaster of a round. Looks like she's maybe settled in over the last few holes, but her and Zoe Andike just a stroke apart from one another. Edie Hurd sits at plus 19 with Missy Gannon, Walker and King at 20, Andike and Gilpin at 21.
It's worth noting that the hot scores on the course for the day. Currently, the hot score of the day, Jessica Weese sitting at 1 under par, 2 bogeys, 3 birdies. Paige Pierce with 3 birdies, a double, and a single bogey. So she sits at even par for the day. And then we've got 3 ladies who are shooting only 1 over on the day. That's Katrina Allen, Vanessa Van Dyken, Emily Beach, who's had one of the highest birdie percentages for this week. And then Madison Walker, who you just mentioned earlier, starting tough with a double on hole 1 and then carting a double on hole 8. But playing the rest of the course relatively cleanly, she has moved herself up inside the cut for the time being.
Yeah, and Walker just having the struggles on the 2 par 5s that she's seen. Here's Paige Pierce with a lunging jump putt, and she'll be right next to the basket.
Leatherman on the green. This is likely her putt for par. Leatherman's par putt is in. That's no harm, no foul on a hole like this.
No, we also just caught wind from the chat board, actually, who are checking out UDisc. Edie Hurd with a 78-foot throw-in birdie 2 on hole number 15. Very impressive.
Hokum is in for what looks to be her par. As is Burkus, will rejoin the FPO lead card on the tee of 13. So we see Jessica Weese approaching the tee. Weese playing a bit of a hyzer flip toward the cart path.
That's perfectly fine position. From there, that should be a relatively routine up and down for her to walk away with the par. I'm really excited to see our next 3 competitors, the 3 longest throwers in the FPO division.
Pierce getting a hold of this Ballista Pro. This has the distance if it gets the skip. Wow.
Well.
Wow. Gotten the skip it has, and that is 10 feet for birdie for Paige Pierce.
Exactly why I said I was so excited to see the throw. Paige Pierce parking it here on hole 13. We'll see if this is a little bit of a catalyst to get her going. And that's low for Jennifer Allen. Will that get a skip? It does, but not quite the distance. It's interesting to see, as Jennifer Allen is one of the few women you can always say, okay, she's one of the few people out there that can actually throw farther than what we see from Pierce or from Katrina Allen.
Allen with a bit of hyzer flip on this D2. Tracking left. That's going to be right outside circle 1, maybe 45 feet or so.
We'll be back in a moment. Our FPO field making their way up the fairway. I don't think I'm going out on a limb here. I'm expecting to see 3 pars and a birdie. Well, Katrina Allen does have that long look from somewhere around circle 2, so she could maybe get a little bonus birdie action here.
Jennifer Allen playing the jump putt layup and doing so well. Weese approaches nicely to a similar distance to Jennifer Allen. Allen taking a straddle stance for this circle 2 putt.
Oh, there's one branch that hangs down between her and the basket, and as she lofted that one up, it caught the branch. Not doing too much damage.
It's hard to know without seeing the full flight of it without the branch, but that had a really good line.
It did look good.
Yeah. And that's a tap-in birdie for Pierce, as she will card the only birdie 2 in the women's field today.
And doing so after driving deep of the basket and having a comebacker from just a mere 10 feet. Shows you the power that Paige Pierce has. In fact, looks to me like it's a GBO moment. Let's take another look at that drive, Robert.
Like we said, this is at Ballista Pro for Paige Pierce, testing the cart path. A little bit of skip right off of it, curling just deep of the basket. An incredible shot for Paige Pierce. Moving over to hole 14, we've got 574 feet. This is the women's tee that we're just passing to the right. This is playing as the second easiest hole in the women's field today. 21% of our field taking birdies here, and this is actually playing under par at a 3.97 scoring average. Most of our female competitors are going to throw a big flex out into the field. They do have OB fence on the right side of the basket to contend with, as well as the OB golf green up and to the left. Yesterday, we saw Paige Pierce's eagle opportunity from circle 2. With this playing at, let me make sure I'm saying this correctly, 574 feet, that means she threw a drive a little over 500 to get to that spot. We've seen a lot of ladies get down to have a pretty easy up and down if they can avoid the low-hanging limbs on the left side of the guardian tree.
Well, we certainly saw, per the example of the previous hole, Paige Pierce driving form on point.
Yeah.
And the way she's able to control the distance that she possesses is something that sets her apart from all of the other competitors. I would say her and Katrina Allen, I feel like those two have that distance that can be controlled, that puts them into positions that so much of the other FPO field just can't find themselves in.
That's right.
They may not have as much of that distance when you're talking about some of the forehand drives. You think of a Jessica Weese, you think of a Sarah Hokum with those deadly accurate forehand drives, but when you're looking at a long drive that can be thrown backhand, Pierce and Katrina Allen, certainly those two are tops on the field. We're looking again at that cut line. It's so exciting as we're coming down the stretch. Every single stroke means just so much as they're trying to play for that position on Saturday. Edie Hurd, another birdie. She birdies the island hole number 16. She's got back-to-back birdies now. She has moved up into a tie for 12th place. She's up 6 positions today into that tie for 12th place. Haley King, I mentioned, it seems like she's gotten off the roller coaster, and in fact, things are moving in the right direction for her. She birdies both 15 and 16 and moves into a tie for 12th along with Edie, and finding herself just outside of that cut line at the moment, 2 strokes off of it. In fact, we have, Zoe Endyke and Madison Walker. So Haley King, who's 17 or 18,
Something
somewhere in
like
that
that.
neighborhood, and Edie Hurd, who's 16 or 17. You're talking about the two of them, two of our young upcoming stars. Right now, they definitely have Madison Walker and Zoe Endyke back against the ropes.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And they do have a couple of difficult holes left. Hole 17 playing extremely difficult, and then 18 playing not quite as difficult for the female field, but we've seen some high scores there as well. So a couple of holes left for those ladies to cement their position in the cut line or try and climb back into contention.
Well, we will be excited to watch as that unfolds. Kona Star Panis, we're taking a look at her score. She's in that tie for 12th along with Sai Ananda, along with Missy Gannon. So right now, literally 1 stroke means the world to these women. So we have a tie at that 12th place position. They're taking 16. Sai Ananda, Missy Gannon, Kona Panis, and Edie Hurd, along with Haley King. I've run out of fingers here to count. All knotted up.
That's right.
So some might be a little bit extra pressure. I'm not sure how many of those women are watching UDisc and then potentially watching that cut line. I know there's a lot of philosophies as to whether or not you should know the score. I feel like when you're fighting for that cut line, it might be worth knowing, because maybe there's a layup that you could take or a safe shot that you could take that guarantees you to stay inside of it. But for now, I think we can get back to the tee, at least a little banter and chatter maybe. Let's see if we can listen in on it.
Yeah. And you just try to keep the tiles clear.
Oh, like mod?
No.
What, with numbers? No?
No, because it's a drop one, like touch drop. And like it's not. You probably would. You could. So you just like fours.
Did you get
Yeah. Do you?
So, okay, then they drop.
Yeah.
So you have to keep dropping until like eventually.
This is my one round of tennis. So you just want to not, if it fills up, then
you go.
Yeah.
So is there strategy to it though?
Yeah,
too, kind
I
of?
think there is. Yeah. I think. Sometimes, like if you messed up and you just like.
So you can move them though? I'm confused. Or no, only when you match them.
Yeah,
so like
guy behind you that plays.
And then.
What's happening? Playing games.
Yeah. But now we're up, right? Oh.
So you just do like that.
That
one
one should went that way.
Yeah.
Oh, so whichever way you swipe.
Yeah.
Okay, that would
And like
frustrate
if
me
you go
because I would
up,
forget.
yeah, if you go up, then you're really messed up. So you just want to keep it all going the same way.
Okay.
This is a prime example, like we talked about, how some people deal with these really long rounds and backups and things like that. We see that Katrina Allen is just trying to kind of remove herself from disc golf and allow her brain to wander a little bit so that she can focus intently and has that kind of remaining in the tank whenever it's her turn to throw.
Learning a few new tricks from the next generation of disc golfers in terms of the games and some of the ways, like you said, to stay preoccupied. That is Michaela, Jennifer Allen's daughter. That was talking about, well, like you said, anything that's not disc golf related.
Looks as if the ladies are waiting for the green to clear. As we said, Paige Pierce yesterday drove within circle 2, so they're just being extra cautious.
Then I feel like everything.
All right, looks like we're just about ready to have Paige Pierce tee off. Robert, if they were talking about 2048, which it sounds like they might have been, I love that game.
It's a fantastic game.
I got hooked on it thanks to our cameraman, Gary to the O. Here's Paige Pierce.
This is a huge ballista pro shot. She needs that to turn more to the right. That is ultimately going to be safe. Just not quite the turn that Pierce was looking for. However, she will have a straight approach to the basket for her look at birdie 3. Here's Weese throwing the Pharaoh yet again. And this is beautifully turned by Weese. This is a full flex, max distance forehand. Great tee shot from Jessica. Jennifer Allen getting a nice turn toward the basket. She settles inside of that 250-foot stake. Last to tee will be Katrina Allen with her D2. In a similar fashion to Jennifer Allen. Nice turn, nice fade.
All right, well, welcome back, everyone. Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, alongside Robert McCall. Robert, Friday morning, well, we're moving into almost the noon hour, and that's something else that I know we just touched on a few moments ago. Currently, I have 11:51 Emporia time. I think most would consider that Central Time, unless you guys have your own time.
We call it Emporia time.
You do, okay. Or Dynamic Disc time. But 11:51, that means they're almost a full 3 hours into the round, and we have, of course, the remainder of 14 to play, 15 through 18, no walk in the park. We discussed that at length yesterday. We just saw what Katrina Allen maybe was doing, or one of the things that she does to shift her focus, keep a little extra in the tank mentally. We've seen really good rapport and conversations taking place throughout the entire card. But you still have to think about, we've got long, challenging, demanding holes that remain. How would you personally prep yourself for these remaining holes?
I think more than anything, just refocus coming into each one of these holes. Right, we're about to go into 15, which for the ladies is playing a little bit easier, especially because we're not in the wind today. Well, we're in less wind than yesterday. But headed into 16 is the island hole, and if you let your focus slip for only a second, you can miss the island so easily, and that's almost an instant 4. And then 17 playing as one of the most difficult holes on the course, and 18, if you don't clear on the drive, probably 5 at best.
Yeah.
So really just taking a moment, taking that extra second to focus before I throw. That's usually how I prepare for a difficult stretch of holes like this.
And a standstill by Allen, and just not low enough. And she's a very narrow window. We saw her yesterday. I think she was in a similar position where yesterday she threw a forehand from that spot, and or that may have even been during our opening round. But either way, it was not a very effective one.
That's
and
right.
I think Jennifer was just trying to do everything she could to avoid having to throw another forehand there. I'd love to see kind of a big swooping Anheuser. I feel like the winds are low enough that that's a possibility for her. However, she kind of goes with a more forceful low line approach, and it was a much lower percentage shot in my opinion. I'd love to see that turnover shot by Jennifer Allen in that situation.
Weese playing the forehand hyzer. Skipping just deep of the basket. Once again, we'll remind you that Around hole 14, we have a bit of an issue with our cell signal strength. So we're going to bring you the best shot that we can at each turn, but we ask that you stay patient with us while we work through this. So we see that Weese's second has ended up inside the circle long of the basket. Here's Allen's approach. A little bit short of where I think she wanted to land, but inside the circle, probably 20 or 25 feet. I want to go back to something that you said about Jennifer Allen just a moment ago, throwing that forehand. I know exactly what you mean with that. You know, once you've tried a shot and it's worked out poorly, it's easy just to go to something else, even if it's not the ideal shot, because you don't have confidence in that. I don't have the best forehand, and I've done that a few times when I've thrown a bad one. Just say, all right, I'm just going to throw a backhand knowing that I'll have more confidence in that. Paige Pierce with a nice approach to the basket inside 15 feet. As we see our competitors approach the basket, it will be Jennifer Allen to putt first after hitting the low-hanging branches.
Also in our frame a moment ago, we saw the hand-eye supply. Big shout out. So many supporters and sponsors out here. I actually worked with Hand Eye Supply just a few weeks ago to have my tournament stamp done for my Skyline Classic. So big shout out. Thank you guys so much. Jennifer's right next to the pin.
Is it a shameless plug if the tournament's already happened and you don't really benefit from it?
I just want to give props where they're due.
Okay, cool.
It was such a pleasurable experience, and the artwork that came about as a result was top notch, and people really enjoyed it.
Well, I appreciate that.
I'm not sure if you saw some trophies that I handed out last week, but VHS tapes, custom.
Throwing it back.
Yeah, we went. What can I say? I'm old school. Here's Jessica Weese.
Weese's putt is just low from circle's edge past the basket. You're gonna need to give me a heads up next time you do VHS tapes. I'm very interested. I've watched E.T. on VHS multiple times. Fantastic movie, and even a great multimedia type. You know, it's a real shame that we don't have them anymore.
Oh, and Katrina, and
just short again.
I know, and we keep thinking about anytime Katrina has missed a putt that we expect her to make, almost every one of them have been just a bit low. She's on point, and Paige kind of gets away with one there as well. She was also low on that putt. However, that one bounced up and then found its way into the basket.
I honestly was still talking about VHS tapes because I just counted that for Allen. I didn't expect for that low putt to come out.
Yeah, that was very surprising to see from her.
Moving on to hole 15, the women's tee is over to the right side of this hole. This is a big hyzer for most of our competitors, playing over the golf fairway that plays out of bounds on the right. And then the golf cart path on the left that's a little bit more difficult to reach. This is playing as the third easiest hole on the course today with a 3.06 scoring average. Only giving up 2 birdies so far today to youngsters Haley King and Edie Hurd. Haley King absolutely parking this hole, and then Edie Hurd, as we spoke of earlier, throwing in from 78 feet. Incredible birdies by these ladies. I think we've got players on our card right now who have the power to reach, and I would not be surprised to see at least a couple of birdies from our lead card here.
Well, and speaking of birdies, I know we just mentioned Edie Hurd yet again. She is putting for birdie from circle 2 on hole 17. So
wow.
She continues to terrorize these last few holes. We'll see what she can do. She's found herself inside the cut line at the moment. Missy Gannon also finding herself inside the cut line. Madison Walker has just 2 holes left to play, 17 and 18. She is putting for par from circle 2.
Yeah.
So she's going to have a long putt just to save her par. If Madison Walker takes the bogey on 17, she's going to need at least a par at minimum on 18 if she's going to want to find herself with any chance to remain inside that cut line. So, a couple of our players that are out on the road more often in Madison Walker, and now I think we're going to see Zoe a little bit more on the road here as the year wears on. Both of them definitely in danger of missing that cut as we're going to potentially then move into Saturday's action.
Yeah, like you said, Walker will need at least a par on 18, and then a little bit of luck in the form of some blunders from her competitors, honestly. Yep. Pierce playing the wide hyzer here. This is tracking beautifully.
Oh, yeah.
That is inside the circle. I believe that's her Lucid Felon. That's 25 feet remaining for Pierce for birdie. Weese is next on the tee. Slow run up and acceleration as she whips her disc over the golf fairway. That's come up a bit short. Right around circle 2's edge is how it looks.
I really love the positioning here that we're seeing from this shorter tee. I feel like it gives so many more opportunities for our FPOs to go out there and possibly capture a birdie. And we see Jennifer Allen's kind of squibble just inside the circle.
Allen with a D1 hyzer tracking nicely, skipping up near Pierce's and probably a little bit closer to the basket than Pierce's drive.
The action continues to heat up. We'll be back in a moment.
This is the United States Amateur Match Play Championships. The championships start with your local bracket with a sweet players pack and some prizes, and it ends here in Emporia, Kansas with some absolutely insane prizes. If you're looking to take down the championships, head to discgolfmatchplay.com.
Back with the action here from the green of hole number 15. Quick shout out to our 3 cameramen that are out there. We have Gary to the O, Rick Cushane, as well as Chad Inman. Thank you guys so much for your efforts. We're going to have a very relatively quick turnaround before we're back out for the MPO round coming at you at 3 p.m. Central today.
Weese with a long, kind of swooping Anheuser putt, settles right next to the basket. Jennifer Allen from Circle's Edge looking to convert for birdie. Allen unable to do so. She will settle for par here on 15, and that one's going to feel particularly bad to Jennifer Allen as she has all of the distance to be able to reach this on a hyzer. Katrina Allen for birdie. Low again, and even lower than her last putt as we hear that hit the pole. Last to putt is Paige Pierce, approximately 25 feet. And Pierce with a confident stroke, taking no additional time. She will collect the birdie and pick up a stroke on the card. This is exactly like we said earlier in the round. We've seen this from Pierce before, though usually not from this sort of deficit, but she'll have a lackluster first round or first couple of rounds and then start to turn it on, and you can't help but feel like Pierce is she's putting in some work.
Gonna move over to the dangerous and daunting hole number 16, Robert.
This is 262 feet from the women's tee over on the right side. Players are forced to throw a slight anhyzer if they want to get close to the pin, or kind of a straight hyzer if they just want to land the island. This is playing as the 8th most difficult hole. Only 2 birdies so far here today as well, and they belong to the same 2 ladies as before. That's why I got tripped up. Haley King and Edie Hurd both carding the only birdie 2s of the day here on the island hole. 46% of the female field taking par, and then 46% taking bogey or worse here. This is usually quite the separator hole for our fields, and we see Allen's lead diminishing. We'll see if she can regain some composure and hit the island here and card that birdie 2.
Well, we see that, as you said, her lead is diminishing. It is now down to 5 as both Pierce and Weese are sitting at +1 overall. Katrina actually +1 on the day, which brings her to 4 under par. But that 5-stroke advantage, we'll see what kind of compression we have or not over the next 3 holes. This hole, I feel like, really sets the tone for the remaining 3 holes of the round. And it can make or break an entire tournament, but it really does set the tone for the next 3 holes. If you're confident, if you're going for the shot, that may send a signal, that may send a message. And we're going to watch probably, I'm guessing we're going to see Paige Pierce go for this.
100%. I'd bet the house.
Okay. So we see her go for that. She puts this on the green, and that is a statement to the rest of the card. So I'm interested to see how that dynamic will play out here. And of course, conversely, if she struggles, if she finds the OB, there may be a little bit more of a sigh of relief.
Right.
Katrina Allen may or may not change up her game plan. I think we're going to see her lay up regardless, but hole 16, I feel like, really sets the tone and the stage for the remaining 3 holes of this round. Looks like we've got Sarah Hokum on the green of 16. In fact, we can confirm that this is Sarah Hokum putting for birdie on 16. And that is Sarah Hokum's first birdie of the round, as Sarah Hokum will go to +4 on the day and +14 overall. So Sarah Hokum, albeit a little bit late, a little saying I've said for a few years now is it's never too late for a birdie, and Sarah Hokum proving just that. I didn't trademark that yet, so don't take that one, Robert.
Yeah, verbal trademark, that is binding.
Okay. Right here on SmashBoxxTV, of course. It's amazing the rules and the laws we can come up with here.
That's right. Hannah Leatherman from the back portion of the island. She is in, and the slow walk would indicate that that putt was probably not for birdie. Getting a nice view of the wildlife out here at the Emporia Country Club. We have ducks and geese out on the course quite often. Sometimes that's cool to see. Sometimes that they leave droppings behind, and that's less cool to see.
Well, Emporia is home to the #1 tap water in the country. So,
that's right, and it doesn't come from this water. Pierce taking an extra moment as she was ready to throw and had a competitor head back over toward the island. See if she can stop and regain her composure. Pierce is 1 for 2 on the island drive so far this week, throwing a blend Marshall long the first day and then landing it right next to the basket yesterday.
Huge shot for Paige Pierce.
That needs to turn and hold.
I think
the
it's
distance
going to.
looks okay. That is safe. I can't imagine that she'll run that putt.
No, I will say I think she's still going to probably walk away with the par 3. So one has to think, did she just elevate her own heart rate for nothing? She did find herself inbounds. That's what's most important, of course, and a 3 is perfectly fine. However, a little bit more exciting 3.
Weese tied for second, asking for that to go, and it does not. She'll be OB short of the island and headed to the drop zone. Jennifer Allen attacking the island with a flex shot. This is tracking if it has the distance. She gets the green flag and finds the narrow strip of land right of the basket, but safe from the water. And Katrina looks like she's running this. This is a bit hurried. Wow. She's asking for that to get down. Angle is good. Great shot for Katrina as she stands up to the pressure from Pierce. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say I don't think either of our players run those putts. The basket is precariously perched on a hill that runs away to the water. And if one of our players were to miss that putt or to draw no metal, sometimes even if they do draw metal, that can roll away to the water, and that would result in a 4, which would be just like missing the island the first time.
Yeah, I'll admit I was a little bit surprised to see Katrina go after the green here, and maybe she just feels most comfortable. Maybe she's more comfortable with that shot than the alternatives of playing a layup shot and then playing onto the green.
That's right.
So I can certainly respect that if that's how she feels like her, where her commitment and her practice, have brought her to.
Now I will say that it sounds like you could just lay up and get an easy 3. It's
not the case.
It's a difficult second shot into the screen to stick it close to the basket. As we see Weese jump putting from the drop zone, that'll leave her 18 feet left. I am extremely interested to see the attack that our competitors are going to take here on the island green, because we're coming really down to crunch time. I think, like I said in the past, we've seen Paige Pierce make these comebacks from several strokes back. And I think in order to be in position for that out here at the Country Club and with the winds up tomorrow, she probably needs to be within 4 or 5 shots to put some pressure on Katrina Allen and Jessica Weese, with whom she's tied right now.
Pierce kicking one of the ducks off the island. I'm just kidding.
And that's a quick layup from Pierce, and honestly, that's a smart play, especially from being as far back as she was on the island. It's so easy for that to find water.
Yeah, I like that she didn't even think about it.
That's right.
That was her committed plan from probably the moment she landed in that spot.
Katrina's
Allen,
closer than we thought.
Yeah, it looks she's running this putt.
Huge conversion from Katrina Allen. Wow. She steals her resolve and pours that into the left side of the basket. Let's take another look at that putt. That is such a confident putting stroke, especially after seeing those 2 low putts on previous holes. I'm so impressed by Allen's determination there. Oh, and Jennifer Allen's dances on the rim, touches some chains, falls back out. That'll be another par for Jennifer Allen.
I'm not sure if we rewind just a few minutes to what we were thinking we were going to see as we moved into this hole. We pretty much assumed Paige Pierce was going to run at the drive or go for the island. She does just that. Katrina, we didn't think necessarily would do it. Not only does she do it, but then she converts on a tester death putt. And Paige still walks away with the par. Nothing, to hang your head about. But, wow, I told you this will send a statement, and Katrina Allen has done just that. We're moving into hole 17, another difficult par 4 at 680 feet.
Yeah, huge momentum swing for Allen moving into this, the 3rd most difficult hole on the course, playing at a scoring average of 4.92. 0 birdie 3 so far today. 42% of the women's field taking their par 4. We are playing to we're playing to the basket that's in the middle of our screen here. Our competitors do have Amanda on the right side, which takes the huge hyzer out of play. There's also OB Golf Fairway on the right side and Tall Grass on the left. And our competitors are looking for just a subtle turnover that crests that hill, just like we've seen multiple times here at the Country Club. Crest that hill and get to within 300 feet or so. That's going to open up the opportunity for them to throw kind of a low stinger over the golf green. And our players need to know that the OB is actually separated from the golf green by, several feet for sure. Or they can play the big anhyzer to approach in between the two trees. Like I said, 0 birdies so far today. And then 58% of the FPO field taking bogey or worse. So certainly a difficult finishing stretch of holes.
Well, and I think another great statistic, as we can look at it on UDisc, just 4% of our competitors are finding circle 2 in regulation. So as they're throwing their second shot, only 4% of these women have gotten within 66 feet of the basket.
That's right.
So that tells you just how difficult the tee shot is, and then, of course, the second shot is for these competitors.
I bet you'll never guess who that circle 2 in regulation is.
Edie Hurd.
It is Edie Hurd.
Okay.
Carting the par 4. She had a putt from circle 2. Ultimately settled for the 4.
Well, and speaking of that, we know that they're coming down the final stretch of just 1 or 2 holes that remain. Edie Hurd has moved up 6 positions. She is in the clubhouse, along with Haley King, who's moved up 2 positions. They are currently in a tie for 12th and look to comfortably be inside the cut line. Madison Walker is also now in the clubhouse, and she is sitting just 1 stroke. So it's going to come down possibly to what Zoe Andike does on the final hole, along with Missy Gannon. A moment ago, we saw Sarah Holcomb throw her tee shot. Here's Rebecca Cox on 17.
What a flight from Rebecca Cox. She needs that to settle. That's done so beautifully. She is on the left side of the fairway and will likely have a big anhyzer approach to this basket. There's Paige Pierce on the tee. I believe that's a trespass from Pierce. A little bit low, but still fine. She won't have an opportunity to take the birdie 3 from there, but she can still throw a nice straight shot and open up the opportunity to approach for a 4. Hannah Leatherman's drive comes out early and left. That is going to be safe, but a misfire for Leatherman.
And there you have it again. Our chase card teeing off on hole number 17. The story outside of the action and the amazing play, and specifically hole 16 that we just saw from Katrina. We're continuing to keep our eyes on the cut line. Mm-hmm. And as I rattle off a few names, we see Lisa Fakis, who's on 17, finishing up 17 and 18. Emily Beach has just hole 18 to play. She's had a pretty solid day. She's moved up 4 spots here today
Nicely
to
done.
Comfortably put herself inside the cut line. She will all but for sure be playing tomorrow, as she just has hole 18 to play. Hannah, we see her right now on the chase card. She sits in a spot, the 11th spot. Mm-hmm. However, she's dipped 5. So Hannah, we'll see if she can finish out strong. She took a 6 on hole number 16.
Ooh, brutal.
And so we'll see if she can recover from that. But we're seeing Sayananda, Edie Hurd, and Haley King all in that tie for 12th. Missy Gannon in a tie for 15th with 17 to complete and hole 18 to finish.
Yeah, 12-18.
just thinking like it's 12-ish. So if someone's like it's 12:15,
Oh, okay, when you say
then
like that.
yeah.
Because people usually don't say increments of 15. They usually say like the whole number of 12.
Yeah, like it's 12-ish,
Oh,
or they
around
say it's
12-ish.
like it's 12:30. Well, yeah, you only. I feel like you only say it 12-ish.
Yeah.
So it has to be 10 to 15.
It's the first time I ever.
I feel like 15 is.
And I have gotten confirmation that our cut is actually going to be 15 players.
Okay.
Plus ties.
15 plus ties.
So we've got Missy Gannon, who is in for bogey.
12:59 is 12-ish. Because like say
Wow. Yeah. We just saw the cut line shift yet again moments ago thanks to UDisc Live. We're watching Paige Pierce throw her second shot, keeping it low. Is that a ballista that she's throwing there?
I think that's right. Now, according to UDisc, it's top 16 plus ties, so I'm not sure which one we're going to go with here, but we'll find out shortly.
Yeah, we certainly will get a confirmation on that. But momentarily, we see Madison Walker, who's in a tie for 16th with Missy Gannon. We saw her jump back up in front of the cut line, sitting at that plus 21. Zoe Andike can secure her position inside the cut if she were to just take the par on the final hole. Sounds as if we were hearing a little bit of the leader card banter taking place on the tee, but now we're back with the chase card. This is Sarah Holcomb throwing her approach.
Holcomb with a beautiful low forehand.
UDisc Josh says he'll also be checking in with Doug Bjerkes, our official tournament director, to confirm whether that's 15 or 16. UDisc Josh has told us that he checked with Doug yesterday and he said it was 16. So we'll get that final confirmation and make sure everything is updated correctly. We do know that someone like Madison Walker, who's likely somewhere here in the clubhouse where we are right now, is probably just kind of sitting there, maybe even reluctantly watching her phone, because that will somewhat determine the fate as to whether or not she's going to make that cut for tomorrow, as is everyone else that's within a stroke or two of that line.
Cox, after a crushing drive, plays an aggressive shot over the green. That's well done. She's going to be right around Circle 2's edge looking at birdie. She'll likely be obstructed by the left side guardian tree, but a great shot for Cox nonetheless.
Kona Panis hoping to close things out here. Maybe she needs a little final hole magic on number 18. Kona struggled mightily on 16 and 17. She had a double bogey on 16, followed by a double bogey on 17. She was very comfortably inside the cut line prior to hole number 16. And right now she finds herself just outside of it as she sits at plus 22.
And a beautiful shot there, settling closely to the basket.
And now we're going to get back to the action. Hole 17, this is Katrina Allen with the honors, with the impressive bogey on 16. We got birdie just before this. My bad. There's a bogey for me.
Allen is back to that, what looks like more understable driver. I thought that was a D1 before, but it's been working to the right.
Could be maybe a very seasoned D1 for her.
Could be true. Pierce on the box. This is a bio defender, and this is launched. Wow. That's landed right around the 250-foot stake. She'll likely have a routine hyzer to get a look at birdie here. Allen nearly matching Paige Pierce's incredible drive. Last on the tee is Weese. I believe this is that same Valkyrie that she was throwing on hole 10. This is a beautiful flex line from Weese.
I believe we'll catch up with Katrina Allen's drive in just a moment.
Here at Dynamic Discs, we want to help run your local tournament just like we've supported and sponsored hundreds of others around the world. We've got everything covered from custom stamped discs and players packs to CTPs and trophies. We have what it takes to help every player from novice to pro have a good time. It all starts with ordering from our website with discounted bulk pricing. We can take care of designing and stamping your custom disc. We'll even include rewards when your custom stamped order reaches a new tier. We have discounted prices on extras for players packs, CTPs.
So as we come back, we have Katrina Allen throwing her second shot, and we have absolutely confirmed that it will be 16 plus ties. We're back with Sarah Holcomb. Oh, and Holcomb's putt is just a bit high. It's off the top band.
I threw her whole bag,
Sorry, that was a quick phone call from tournament director Doug Bierkus. So he's going to confirm for us it is 16 plus ties. And if you're looking at UDisc, you see right now that Missy Gannon is sitting in a tie for 16th, but below the cut line. If with those 16, if we were to finish right now and there are 17 competitors, they would all get to play tomorrow, but only 40% of the field will cash. So there would be one, if Missy stays where she is and there are 17 competitors moving on, one competitor would not cash, which would hurt.
Well, if you're sitting in that bottom position or one of those near bottom positions, you may be going all out for it with only the hopes of moving up and beating at least one person.
That's right.
Might be a dangerous position to be in fact. Here's Jessica Weese playing the wide forehand. I would have loved to see a little more finish to that, but still in really good position.
Yeah, from her perspective, I think she'd have had to throw it on pure hyzer to get quite that right side finish. And I don't know if she'd be able to get quite the distance if she just threw hyzer. Incredible.
It looks like Kelly McMorrin has now jumped on the bag to help out with Jennifer Allen. I'm not sure if there was a tag out for Michaela.
Yeah, got to bring in the lefty.
Michaela's got some 2048 to play. She's moving on. She's like,
focused.
Mom, I've got other things to do.
Allen expecting that to move to the right. It's caught the left side guardian tree, so it'll settle inside circle 2.
And it looks like we might have an official cut line here, and it looks like, as is just shifted, Madison Walker finds herself a single stroke inside the cut line. And we hate to be the bearer of bad news to Kona Panis and Missy Gannon and below. They have not made the cut. That is now unofficially listed on UDisc. As Pierce throws a pretty solid approach shot there.
Yeah, that was her classic blend Marshall, same one as she threw on the island hole. That's at circle's edge. She might be straddling to be able to access the basket from there.
Gallery moves down the fairway. Robert, again, this is just moments ago as we're watching our third and fourth cards, or correction, our fourth and fifth cards, as they have finished up the cut line officially at plus 21. So if you are at plus 22 or worse, you will not be moving into the fourth and final round here at the 2019 Glass Blown Open.
That's right. We've just seen Katrina Allen approach the basket. She is about 8 feet inside Circle 1's edge, so putting from 25 feet.
And huge shout out, Edie Hurd, moving up 7 positions today with her solid performance. She goes 2 down in the last 4 holes. She ultimately moves up 7 spots. She sits at plus 1, which is the second hottest round that we're seeing out here for the third round competitors, as she sits at plus 1 for the round. Both Allen and Weese sit at even. Oh, correction, Pierce sits at 3 down, my bad. But Edie Hurd, one of the best rounds out here for sure, moving up those 7 positions. And Jessica from one knee, not grabbing any metal, or almost looked like it tickled one of the left side chains, but not able to convert.
Moving up to Pierce's approach here. Looks like she's going to stand down to Jennifer Allen, who is outside Circle 1. Here's Pierce for birdie. And she asked for it to stay up as she just catches the very top of the cage. She's going to settle for par, and here is Katrina Allen to match that score.
I do believe that is the 3rd or 4th time we've seen Paige Pierce come in just a few inches low. Seems to be on line, but just short.
and as we can hear, Allen says, whoop, didn't miss low.
Yeah, conversely, anytime we've seen her miss a putt in the last few rounds, it seems like it's been low and off the front of the cage, and she self-corrected and said, well, I didn't miss low.
So we see that once again, hole 17 relinquishes 0 birdies on the day.
And Pierce will pick up a stroke.
She's within 5 now of leader Katrina Allen, 1 ahead of 3rd place Jessica Weese.
Here's hole 18. We're going to finish out our 54th hole of the tournament so far, Robert?
That's right. FPO tee over to the right, as you can see by the drone footage. Our female competitors will be playing over the water that you can see on the right to the safe landing zone. Players can push and reach this green with a good shot, but it does have OB water on the right side as well as OB behind the basket. It also has a fairway that's sloping from left to right. So if a disc comes in on too much hyzer, there's a chance for rollaway potential. We've got this playing as the 5th most difficult hole on the course so far today at a 3.67 scoring average. Once again, 0 birdies on the day, but 57% of the FPO field carding a par on this hole.
All right, well, we were making a few predictions for what we might see on hole number 16. Hole number 18, again, we have our power throwers. Most of the field, or I should say, the card here has every bit as much power as they need to be able to attack this basket. We'll see just how close they can get, or if they're going to just set themselves up for a position to possibly walk away with the par. No harm, no foul. As we said, 0 birdies given up here on hole number 18 today, so there's nothing wrong with a par. Katrina Allen sits with that 5-stroke lead. I believe that's what. No, she started with a 7-stroke lead earlier today.
Oh yeah,
so she
over
has
Weese, that's correct.
over Jessica Weese. She still sits with 6 over Weese and 5 over Pierce. So we'll see how she's going to attack this final hole. Right now, it looks like off in the distance, we see Sarah Holcomb throwing her approach shot. This is chase card action. Sarah Holcomb has maintained exactly where she started today. She started in 8th place. She's still in 8th place, and she sits at +5 on the round, and she's tied with Lisa Fakis. As we look down at our individual scores, Jennifer Allen right now is just playing par golf, and we've talked about that quite a bit.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that out here. She has, I believe, parred the last 8 holes out here on the course, and she's may or may not be fighting for that lead card position going into the final day. Rebecca Cox is +4 on the round and sits at +10 overall, so 1 stroke better than Jennifer Allen. So there's a few leader card implications that I think we're going to see for tomorrow in these last few throws.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And hole 8 is a pretty big change on this course. We move the basket down from being higher up on the hill. We were afraid that it might play a bit too easily when we did so, but I think the elevated basket as well as the winds have made this whole play pretty difficult across the board.
Something that'll park it. I don't know. I don't just ace it. No, not really. Don't do it. Doesn't look like she was. Although it's a tough crowd there. They only clap for my double bogey. Sure. I said that. I don't know. Did you give yourself one? Yeah. Maybe it was to get on the. I think I went like that. I don't know.
It's a little bit of the chatter that we hear on the tee as they're preparing for their 54th hole. This is Sarah Holcomb. And solid putt to finish. This is Hannah Leatherman for par.
Just low for Leatherman. As we spoke of earlier, let's take a look at our hot rounds of the day. We've got Paige Pierce currently sitting at 3 under on the day, which is 3 clear of the next hot round. Jessica Weese sitting even. And then we've got a couple of 1-overs. Katrina Allen sitting 1 over currently. And then our big mover so far today, Edie Hurd, finishing with a 1-over round of 65. A couple of 2-overs. Vanessa Van Dyken moving up a couple of spots, shooting 2 over 66 today, as well as, just like we spoke about earlier, Madison Walker moving up 3 spots with her 66 and making the cut.
Oh, 100%.
Our ladies have stood down on the tee for just a moment as they wait for 18's green to clear.
Robert, what I would like to ask you about right now is, as Jennifer Allen is right on the cusp of being possibly on the either the bottom of the lead card or on the top of the second card, going into the final day, not necessarily contending for the title, do you think you'd personally rather see yourself at the bottom of the lead card, you know, where maybe there's a little bit more commotion, or is the top of the second card, you know, kind of that sleeper spot?
No, I always want to be on the lead card. I want to know what's going on and know what I have to do to stay in contention. Paige Pierce throwing a huge hyzer out here, tracking toward the basket. She needs that to settle down.
Oh, my goodness.
Ultimately, that rolled OB long. Wow, an unlucky break for Pierce. That we see that happen sometimes when a disc comes in on hyzer into a left to right sloping hill. It can catch, get over to its edge, and roll out. That's what we see for Pierce. So she will be putting for par from circle 2, I believe.
And Todd Lyon from the PDGA acting again. He's a marshal out here all weekend, but he is here on the card, and I think specifically positioned himself to act as an additional spotter for this hole. So thank you so much, Todd, as I saw him giving a mark.
We see some excitement from Jennifer Allen as she lands her drive safe and inside circle 2. Weese getting razzed by some of the geese out on the course right now. Asking for that shot to get up, and it has. She's safe. Not very close to the basket, but she's accomplished what she was trying to do.
In a moment, I'll talk about the implication of Jennifer Allen and what a birdie would mean here, but first we have Katrina. She also taking an extra moment here.
This is a nice angle from Allen, a little bit higher on the hill.
It might roll down. It does not.
That's inside circle 1 for Allen, putting for birdie on 18.
All right. Well, as I was mentioning a moment ago, we're going to watch our lead card just transition down the fairway. Jennifer Allen is currently sitting at plus 11. Rebecca Cox is in the clubhouse. She had a very solid finish as she closed out of her round today. She shot plus 4 on the day, but she sits at plus 10 overall. So she is in sole possession of 4th place. Now, they were tied going into today's action. So what that would mean if Jennifer Allen wants to remain on the lead card, if she's even thinking about that type of situation, she's going to need to make a birdie putt here on 18. And I'm thinking she might be in a position she has not been dialed in on her putt. I think that's a fair statement to make. So I think she's going to go for the safe layup. And if she does so, that means she will be at the top of the second card, and we'll have Rebecca Cox rejoin the lead card. As we saw a few days ago, we'll have her here for our featured lead card for the final round tomorrow.
Yeah, like you said, at this point, it's likely that Jennifer Allen is not going to contend for the title here. But every stroke still matters as she's within 1 of Rebecca Cox and just 1 ahead of some of the competitors just behind her. Let me get back over to UDisc here. We see that we've got Vanessa Van Dyken sitting 12 over par, just 1 behind Jennifer Allen as we speak. Paige Pierce at 14 over, and then Lisa Fakis and Sarah Holcomb sitting at 15 over. So she could run this putt, try and get herself on the lead card, and a birdie would ultimately secure that position. But if she misses, say she rolls out of bounds, not a guaranteed even 4 from there. So at this point, she has to think a little bit about position and her final finishing spot as we round out the tournament tomorrow.
We've had to eat our words a few other times in the past, though, so we'll see what Jennifer's going to do. I think this should be a layup. Yep, she gets up there very quickly and puts it right next to the pin. And maybe her mentality would have changed if Jennifer was having, you know, a solid putting day and was just putting lights out all day today. I'd like to say that, or unfortunately, I'll have to say that wasn't the case. So she goes with the smart move. She's going to put herself under the pin. We'll see her on top of the second card. So tomorrow's final foursome here at SmashBoxxTV starting at 8 a.m. Central. That's 1 hour earlier. I don't like that any more than you guys, but 1 hour earlier. We're going to have Katrina Allen, Paige Pierce, Jessica Weese, and Rebecca Cox.
And that's an air ball for Pierce. That is not right underneath the basket. She's probably got 25 left. Clearly frustrated by the roll that she got just now, and I don't blame her. That's an incredibly unfortunate roll after throwing such a great tee shot.
Yeah, she put herself all the way up to pin high. And there
Allen
it is.
opting just to lay up, not take any risks on this green, as she knows that the best score Paige Pierce can take here is a 4. This is Weese for her par. Weese's attempt is short left. She will settle for bogey here to close her round.
So again, another one of those situations where Katrina, and this is how the round started, Katrina Allen really just had to walk up and take a par, and some of her closest competitors were just handing strokes back to her. And that appears to be the case here, unfortunately, for Pierce and Weese. They'll both walk away and go into the clubhouse with bogeys to finish their round.
So that's going to widen Allen's lead back to 6. She will be our overnight leader going into the final round of the tournament, sitting at 4 under par. Pierce will ultimately finish at 2 over par on the week. With a hot round of the day, that's going to be a round of 2 under par for Paige Pierce. And then a couple of other 1 over pars as our hot rounds of the day. We see that from Jessica Weese, who will settle in at 3 over par. And Jennifer Allen, unfortunately relinquishing her spot on the lead card. She'll be replaced by Rebecca Cox for tomorrow's final round.
Well, it's going to be an exciting one. We saw that lead widen by quite a bit. It may have been up to either 9 or 10 at one point.
I think 9 was the widest between Katrina and Jessica.
Yeah, and that's incredible to see. It went back and forth a little bit as the round started to close out. Katrina Allen then picking up a stroke on her 2 closest competitors in Pierce and Weese as she comes into the final hole. And like you were just saying, she has a 6-stroke advantage right now over Paige Pierce and 7 strokes over Jessica Weese. We're expecting some higher winds again tomorrow. We said that the winds on Wednesday and Friday here today are relatively similar. There are talks of the winds being maybe mimicking what we saw yesterday for our final round. They're going to be playing a little bit earlier. They're going to have that 8 a.m. start. There also will be a little bit quicker pace, most likely, due to the fact that we have trimmed to the top 40% of the field, 16 players. So there's going to be just 3 cards in front of them as they go out in their foursome. So that might affect the play, and they may move in a little bit quicker. Today's round came in at 3 hours and 45 minutes. So they did trim off 15 minutes from the previous 2 rounds that they played. So we'll see if that moves in a little bit quicker tomorrow, too. And all of those things, I think, factor in.
Yeah, and I think with the winds being up, it's really anyone's ball game. We could see Katrina play, she played like a genius yesterday. I mean, put down such a clean round, very few mistakes. We could see her absolutely run away with this, or we could see somebody like Paige Pierce or Jessica Weese start to make a charge, and like we said in the wind, anything is possible. So I'm personally very excited to see the conclusion of the FPO final round. If you aren't already planning on it, go ahead and set that alarm 1 hour earlier. Join us at 8 a.m. Central so that we can crown our 2019 Dynamic Discs Glassblown Open champion on the FPO side. And then as close to 12 o'clock noon as we can, where we plan to go live with the MPO side tomorrow. But we still got more disc golf today.
We have more. We're going to let you guys go out, take a break, maybe even, I don't know, take your 8-hour workday, compact that into the next 2 hours, and then make sure you relax, you sit back as we bring you the MPO action this afternoon starting at 3 p.m. Central. That's just a little over 2 hours and 15 minutes from now. Of course, we invite you to join us and take in all that sweet action. We're going to close things out. We're also going to have an FPO highlight reel for you, thanks to the magic of Johnny V. We've got Gary to the O along with Rick and Chad out there on the cameras, just hustling around this very lengthy Emporia Country Club course. Johnny V switching the controls for Robert McCall and myself, Terry Miller, the disc golf guy. We'll see you at 3 p.m. today for our 3rd round of the Glassblown Open. We'll see you then when you step inside the Smash Box.